Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Life Between the Volleys podcast. And we're going to get this one started pretty quick. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has watched the past episodes, listened to the past episodes. Remember, you can watch it on YouTube if you're listening on audio, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can listen to it on audio over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbean. So we're going to jump right into this. Pretty awesome guest tonight. It's a cool friend I met down in Arkansas. Let's hop over to the interview screen. Yep, there's two of me at the moment.
What's up?
How's it going, man?
All right, how are you?
Not bad, not bad. I'm just excited this is like working for once.
Yeah.
Like
Is this how many of these have you done?
This will be the third. This will be the fourth. The second one with the new system. So I had to go to a new podcast board and new camera system, and I kind of screwed it up one time. So yeah, that was fun. But it's been very interesting, to say the least.
Was it hard to get into all the podcast equipment and stuff?
That part was easy, actually. So that wasn't too bad. The hard part was like understanding how to get the video and all of it to work together.
Right.
They've changed softwares where I run a Mac, which kind of causes a little bit of problems, but it wasn't that big of a problem. It's just like a $3 purchase to purchase some stupid little HDMI thing. As far as the board, the problem with the board was like where we have commercials that start out this was getting all that audio and everything to mix. And if you know somebody that does some like streaming with some gaming, they can probably set you up pretty quick. I know a couple guys. I might need to have them like look at my system sometime to see if there's any way we can improve it.
I've always thought about doing a podcast or something just because it sounded like fun, and never haven't pulled the trigger on it because I just don't want to do it until I can commit to it. So
that is the biggest issue. So this is the fourth podcast with the new group, which means like the new sponsors. I'm putting my own personal money up. I have one other sponsor that's putting some money up, and that kind of changed the game because before we were trying to do it with I was trying to do it with my buddy Harrison, who I hunt with a bunch. But the problem was like all the stuff was at my house. We didn't have this system. If we had this system, we probably would still be doing that podcast. But like, it just got where like he has a young kid, I have a young kid. It's hard to drive over once a week or once a month and like plan out a thing. When he lives 40 minutes away, so it's not like he's next door, and that was kind of the problem.
Yeah,
but no, like
that's about where I am with it. I've got a buddy that I would, if I was going to do it, I would do it with, but he's the same way. He's like an hour away, so.
Yeah, so if you could figure out this system, which this system works great. If I had this, then we'd be perfect. We could run
just
this.
Jump in and hit it, and
yeah, you basically just jump on, like you connect and you do it, and like there's way to. The part I'm having trouble with, like you asked about Zoom calls before we got started. Right now, I can only get FaceTime to work. Zoom's a little questionable on how to get it to work. I'm going to reach out to some people though and see how they're doing it.
I need to keep an eye on my battery. I've got plenty right now, but I'm sure it'll last fine. But
yeah, I mean, me and Forrest only BS for like 4 hours on this thing. So
yeah,
once you get him talking, and then you got me talking, we chased about 1,000 rabbits around. Yeah, it was pretty fun. And then I think we talked for an hour afterwards too. We just sat around and BS'd for like another hour. But we got the board running, everything's up and rolling. Let's just start with you introducing yourself a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about everything: your company, your life, your hunting, what else you're into, and all that fun stuff.
Sure, yeah. Todd, Ezzi, Rixey Outdoors. We started the company in 2020. And it's kind of a crazy time to start it, obviously during COVID and all that. But got everything rolling and have been going since. And for those of you that don't know, Rixey Outdoors, I invented a portable collapsible dog stand for timber hunting. Right now, that's the only way you can attach it. And we're working on a couple things uh, for the future, possibly to kind of widen that. But that's kind of been our ticket and how we've gotten our foot in the outdoor industry. So um, invented that, started making them. Had a decent first year, a better second year. Third year was even better. So looking to just kind of continue with that forward progress and try to expand our product line and just we're excited to be in the outdoor industry. So that's probably the best thing about all of it is just being part of the industry and um, getting to hunt for part of our job and be able to do that stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, I know like I was one of the first ones to buy your stand, as far as I know, in West Virginia. I got 3 or 4 buddies that are definitely looking into it. I think actually 2 of them are going to pull the trigger on it at some point in time. It's literally, and like we don't even hunt that much timber. We hunt river, but I've always used like a mow marsh, and I've even just used, the thing I like about your stand is how small it packs down to. Let's start there. That was like a key design that you came up with, and like the how small it packs down to, the size of it, and also then the quality of it was great.
yeah. Um, so as far as like the portability for the people that aren't there that haven't seen one, it actually ships completely assembled in a 25 by 10 by 6 box. So it's a little wider than your shoulders, but then obviously packs into a pretty small you know compact size once you fold it up, and that makes it good too. Is it folds out and sets up really easy. So it's been uh, it's been really good for us. You think of Arkansas, you think of the big flooded timber, but we actually hunt a lot of willows and um, cypress and kind of a variety of different places. So when we designed it, that was one of the big things we wanted to tackle was having the ability to attach it to any tree, not just an oak tree that was, um, you know, the normal size that you could put a hanging dog stand on, but also be able to go to something as little as 2 or 3 inches um, in radius, or up to 10, 15 feet sometimes on a big cypress tree. So
Yeah, so like I like to use it also like how I'm using it right now training. I just like literally pop it open, set it up, and then just I'll set it on the ground if we're hunting certain places, or I'll set it like in a spot where in the past I used to throw like a decoy bag over there, and I'd tell my dog like, "Hey, place on the decoy bag." Now I don't have to throw a decoy bag on the ground. I can just pop that stand over there, put it on the ground, and
yeah,
like
there's no doubt anybody that's had a dog knows that they work better off of a place or a place mat. There's companies that sell those specifically just for training. But my dogs know when they see one, and I keep a couple set up in the backyard all the time, and I can just give them the place call, and they'll wherever it is in the yard, wherever we are, they'll run straight to it and jump up on it. So it's definitely a good training tool, and just something for them to get used to. And trying to work with a younger dog on not breaking and things like that, being on a stand just makes it a little bit easier for them to feel that boundary, I think, um, when they're learning that. So it makes a difference for sure.
yeah, it makes a big difference, complete difference. So we're gonna come back to the company, but let's jump back to like who kind of like got you. I'm trying to think because like you told stories on other podcasts, and we don't want you repeating them because you've been on those podcasts. But when did you like start thinking you wanted to design a dog stand, and like how did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of aspired to be in the outdoor industry. When I was a kid, I wanted to have a hunting show. Like probably so many other people. You wake up on a Saturday morning. I'm old enough to remember waking up on a Saturday morning and turning on, and you get nothing but the tone and no nothing on the TV. And then the first show that would come on, a lot of times on Saturday morning, you get cartoons or fishing or hunting shows. So that was kind of how I decided I wanted to get into it. I've always kind of been interested in it, and then, life led me in a different direction, with teaching and coaching and all that. But my wife actually has always said, one day you're going to invent something, because I've thrown around 100 ideas of different things that I wanted to invent, but um, she was like, I know one day you're going to invent something really cool that people are going to love. And I guess what finally made me pull the trigger on it was the fact that I thought I had something that people would want and that we could build. I mean, and it wasn't an easy thing to take it from that idea and a prototype, because I've made stuff before and thought, this is cool, I'm gonna get a patent on it, and then it just sits in the garage and you never do anything with it. But this one was different because I don't know, I felt like it was one of a kind. There's nothing like it out there, and there's a need for it. And that was the biggest thing that made me go ahead and pull the trigger. I actually had another invention that was a rack for the back of a car. And I tried to kind of push that through, but I really didn't push hard, and it kind of fell through. And I think it was a good idea, but I figured out very quickly that if you're not all in to try to get something like this started, it's real easy for it to just fall through. So um, that was what made me finally just pull the trigger and say, I'm going to do this. We're going to try it, and see what happens with it. So
Yeah, so that is kind of crazy because I can't even imagine. Like, I work in the commercial industry, build like we build buildings every day and design that stuff, and I can't even imagine, like, actually, because the stand is so. Uh, One of your biggest, I wouldn't say user. Well, yeah, one of your biggest users of the stand is Dr. Duck, Dennis Loomis, and that crew. If you've never seen the stand, go over to their YouTube, watch one of their videos, and they'll be using it. That's where, like, I'd always seen that stand on there and always wondered what it was until, like, then Off the X guy started working with you and they started talking about it. And I was like, okay, now I got the name of it. And I think the most unique thing about it is, how did you go from, like, just having this thing setting in your garage? And let's get back a little bit. So you talked about what your actual career is, which I am apparently a person who hunts with a bunch of school teachers and hunts with a bunch of coaches, because I do it in West Virginia, and apparently I do it in the one person I hunt with in Arkansas. That I think everybody. You're I forgot his name that hunted with us. He was also a teacher.
yeah, Father Patrick, yeah.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, apparently everyone I hunt with are teachers, but, like, you're not that teachers can't invent and design stuff, because I got one buddy who swears he came up with the idea of the slide on feet for floater decoys and make them field decoys. He swears he thought of that before, like, someone else. He just, like, I just didn't get it to market. But how did you, like, find people to take this idea and bring it to life? Because I mean, the stand, like, it's not like a solid piece of metal. Like, it has folding parts. It's bolted together. The base is not a solid piece of angle. It's got cutouts to make it lighter. It's engineered the right way. Like, how did all that come to fruition?
Yeah, I was really lucky to have some people around me. I had a good friend, and I took it to him and showed it to him. He's like, "It's really cool." And we were in his office, and he's like, "Man, I got a guy that works next door that is in the aerospace industry, and he's an engineer here in town. His name's Kyle Barker." And he took me over to Kyle's office, and he looked at it and he was like, "Man, I think I can help you." And I was like, "Okay." Um, and man, Kyle and his team of engineers, I can't say enough about everything they did for me, just helping me out and get me started. He actually invented um, a sensor for a pitching mound that a lot of the pro organizations use now. So he'd been through the whole patent process, um, and it was super helpful, helping me get the design going. So we went back and forth with multiple designs. And although I was able to sketch, and I'm pretty good at three-dimensional sketching and designing, having an engineer to be able to put it in CAD and get the patent drawings and be able to get production going. I don't know how I would have done that without help like that. I would have had to pay somebody a lot of money if I would have just been going to a random person to get it going. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that so many inventors have when they have a good idea. You can talk to just about any hunter and they've had a good idea. So, um, that having that help really allowed me to, um, be selective when we started designing it. So yeah, this is a good idea. No, this is not. Um, Went back and forth with several different prototypes before we came up with the Generation One. And it really, that design has really stood. The Generation Two has a couple of additional features, but I mean, mainly the design of the frame and the way it folds up and everything has stayed pretty much the same as it originally was. So, to answer your question, I got really lucky to have some good friends that helped me quite a bit. So,
Okay. So we talked about, yeah, I mean, that is complete luck. I mean, I dealt with a little bit of patent stuff when I was in college, and it was over my head and stuff. And like, we gave up, like, we were working on a project for a design of some stuff that like was our senior design project, and then we found out that it was going to be patented by the university, and if we wanted in on it, we had to do all these hurdles, and most of us just was like, nope, y'all can have it. Like, this ain't worth the time and effort to be.
yeah, and it's cost prohibitive. I mean, I think most people that come up with an invention like me, you're not sitting on a stockpile of money to get started with this. So you're trying to figure out how to pay for this patent, which is extremely expensive for a utility patent to get started. And then, once I get that patent, I also got to figure out production, and then I also got to figure out sales and marketing and everything else with it. So there's just so many moving pieces to getting started, that it is a big hurdle that a lot of people aren't willing to jump or just don't have the means to be able to do it. So, I consider myself pretty lucky and blessed to have been able to be in a position where I could get it going and get it off the ground. So
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about all the people in the outdoor industry that gets, I mean, because 90% of them, like, I mean, they're everyday people. A lot of people think there's some fancy person that's rich and got all this backing, and most of them don't. There's very few of them that like don't have a second job that does something in the outdoor industry to start with. Everyone thinks, like, oh, you're free on TV, which now the whole thing is TV's not the thing no more. A lot of the guys are going away. Social media has become a complete 180, and now the hunters are fighting social media 90% of the time to even have something they can post on there. That was something I was thinking about today, is like the quality of videographers and photographers out there now that are in the outdoor space is unreal. I can't even name the first one just because, like, I was watching, like, I mean, you pull up, I mean, you have those 4K B-roll guys that are on TikTok and Instagram and all that. It looks beautiful. And then on the other side, you have the hunting public, the untamed, those guys who are basically running their complete shows in a company on YouTube. Like, they're being successful,
yeah,
like hiring people, hiring interns, hiring all that, and all they are on YouTube. They have nothing else, which is crazy.
yeah, there's a lot of money to be made on social media, and I was never really into social media before I started a company. So that was one more thing that I had to kind of learn how to navigate Instagram. And I think I had a personal Instagram, but I didn't know anything about posting or getting followers or anything like that. So there is a huge, um, you know, I guess, group of people out there that really do a phenomenal job either gathering content or um, organizing social media. It's pretty amazing, what some people are able to do with their social media accounts. Talk about people like the hunting public and stuff. It's
Yeah.
pretty impressive what they can do.
Yeah. So to make me feel old, before the hunting public probably even knew what YouTube was, I had a couple friends of me that were putting like, and these are buried on YouTube and or unlisted. You will never find them videos, but we were putting stuff on there. If we'd have known that, if we just would have dove into that, what we could have got out of it, I mean, that's unreal. The fact that like
Yeah,
we were there
my
before a lot of
family,
people, but
my family has always told me, my kids and stuff are like, you need a YouTube channel, like, because I'm always hunting or building or doing something that, wakeboarding, skiing, whatever it is, and then they're like, you need a YouTube channel. And same thing, if I would have thought, 20 years ago to start a YouTube channel and build it, I probably wouldn't be on the path I'm on today. I probably would have had the a different career path and everything, but um, it is what it is. So I
well,
guess it's kind of investing in Walmart 40 years ago. If everybody knew about it, it wouldn't be the same as it ended up being. But
yeah, I mean, my most successful video to date has like 200 some thousand views, which is awesome. If it wasn't like, I mean, it is awesome, but like it's a wedding. It's like a wedding. It's like a wedding clip. Like it's the one thing. Like I do love my wedding work, but like at the end of the day, I like that was not the one I wanted to have that many views on. Like
yeah,
I could have picked like so many, and it wasn't even one of my favorite ones. It was just a random one that all of a sudden took off, and I still don't know why it took off. Can't figure it out.
who knows? I've uh, posted a video of my son loading the four wheeler on the trailer, and to date on TikTok it has 14 million views. And it's just one of those things. It's we've done it 100 times. It was a long trailer, had a Ranger and another four wheeler, and so you had to slide it
Oh
sideways
yeah,
on
yeah.
there. Um, and it's got 14 million views, and it just makes you wonder, like, where and how does that happen? I still don't understand the algorithms and everything that goes along with it, but um, somewhere out there, there's something where people probably figure that out. I wish I knew how to make it work like that every time, but
Oh yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, and there's 1,000 different ways that people say to do it. Like it's all about what time you post. It's all about when you post. It's all about how often. And then you have other people's like it don't matter. They're like if it's gonna go, it's gonna go. It has nothing like. And now like with TikTok, the bad thing about TikTok is everyone the trending songs and everything on there. Like half my music is copyright free music for wedding stuff. Since I have an account, like I just go ahead and like pull all my music for anything I do from there, and half time it gets knocked off on TikTok, and then they mute it.
yeah, and obviously hunting stuff on TikTok. I mean, I'll be real honest. TikTok is our number one method of advertisement for our company. I don't know why. We've had an Instagram, and I feel like we've got really good content on there. Probably need more videos and reels and stuff, but got some great pictures, and um, I think we've got 4 or 5 thousand followers. But on TikTok, we've got 16,000 something followers, and I'll post a video on TikTok, a product video, and you'll see an immediate spike in sales from that. So I guess it's something that the youth are using, and young kids, and I think a lot of kids that are buying their first dog probably looking in the market for a dog stand. So there's definitely a correlation there. So I know a lot of people don't like TikTok, but it's been a really good advertising platform for us.
Yeah, so I just pulled up your TikTok actually. That's what I was doing there. So you've got 16,000 followers and you got 516,000 likes. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, on our TikTok, it's a little less direct business related like we are on Facebook and Instagram. We post some, some funny videos and stuff on there. We did an April Fool's video, so it's a fun it's a fun thing for us. But yeah, it's been really good for advertising too.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely the well, I mean people are getting pushed so far off of like Facebook and Instagram. Not that like I got blocked on Facebook for trying to sell pups. I don't like I was like trying to legit sell them And I think it's the dumbest thing ever that I got blocked for that, and I got kicked off for like 2 weeks. I've got like my wife in trouble. I got like a bunch of people in trouble for it because they shared the post. Like, it was dumb. And I don't get it, because there's so much worse stuff out there that they're ignoring, but then something like that they go directly at. And I mean,
it makes you wonder. You know, on TikTok, when I first started our TikTok channel or whatever you call that, when we first started it, we, you know, were posting pictures of a duck hanging on a strap, and that video gets banned. And then you see some of the stuff on there, and you're like, this makes no sense. But
oh yeah,
it's one of those things you gotta, if you're gonna use it, I guess you gotta roll with it. If you're gonna fight it, I think you're fighting a losing battle. Um, there, at least on TikTok, but yeah, it's pretty silly. All the social media channels are kind of silly about stuff like that.
okay. Let's jump back for a second. Like I said, we're gonna chase a bunch of rabbits because that's just how my mind works. Let's go back to. So I know you're a coach now. You mentioned that, but before you were a coach, you were. Did you play college ball?
Yeah, I played baseball at Arkansas Tech
Okay.
from 1998 to 2003 when I graduated, and my dad was a coach at the school that I'm at, and he gave me very strict instructions. Son, do not go into coaching. It's it's really hard. It's long hours. It's a thankless job. Don't go be a coach. And so naturally, as soon as I got out of college, I decided to be a coach. So
I made that same choice, and I'm glad I'm no longer a coach. I do hunt with a bunch of coaches. On the podcast that released right before this, I talked with Nick Watts, one of the guys I hunt with. That he was a high school head coach, and now he's a college coach, and we discussed the complete difference of attitudes. I know you kind of teach at like a more private school and coach at one, but what are your thoughts on the difference when you first came back, like versus like your teammates in college, how they were and how their drive was, to like the kids nowadays, like what you have now? Like, it seems like there's not as much want. I don't see as much want in those kids versus what, like, you know, I'm a little younger than you, but like what we had as a drive to like kind of achieve that. Like, I wasn't even trying to go play college football. It was like a complete accident.
I think, you know, there's a lot of it that's culture in the program and the group of kids that you're around. Um, and, you know, I'll be honest. I feel like my teams are pretty driven to work hard. Most of them come in and work extremely hard. So I don't know that I've noticed a difference in that. I think there's a little bit more with kids today. They want to know, like, why are we doing this, instead of coach said do this, do it. I think kids today are a little more likely to ask those questions. You know, okay, coach, I'll do that, but tell me why I'm supposed to do that. You know, why is that helping me? So I think um, that part of coaching has definitely changed. You know, you watch the old Bear Bryant clips and stuff, and um, the way that coaches get through to kids, I think, has changed quite a bit. I don't think kids have honestly changed all that much. I do think some of the circumstances and situations they're in are different. I think kids are exposed to a lot of different things that we probably weren't exposed to when we were kids. So I do think there's some differences, but I think just the way that you have to communicate with kids today has changed a little bit. So I think that's the biggest difference to me.
I think that's a major one. I think that was a really good point. I guarantee it. And like, I hate to say this because I have two kids, but they're exposed. Like, what you're exposed to now as kids is completely because of the social media aspect. Like, I didn't have an iPhone until I was out of college. I remember having a Razor in college. So like now there's just like there was no Snapchat, there was no this, no that. Like I didn't have a Facebook for like half my college career. But I do remember. I mean, you are correct. Like, I think I was like, so I mean, I don't care to say this. I mean, you probably seen this a lot too in your college career. It's probably different then, but like with a baseball team. But like, you know, like my high school football team, like they did stuff, which I'm not going to call out any names, but like they did stuff that like, I mean, the public knew that was around them. There was incidents that came up that I didn't know that there were players that apparently did marijuana and stuff before games. I didn't know that. Had no idea. But like you see that, and then I got to college, and it was very obvious that there was people on our team doing it before games. They were doing it like outside, and it was just completely different because like I remember one time, like this is a funny story. My dad, like this is how like my dad like I hung around. Like I was never the kid to really get into trouble, but I was always had the friends that like kind of walked that line of getting in trouble. I mean, they're all great guys, and they're all off doing pretty cool stuff now. Like I think a lot of them's in the military. Probably should have been put in the military to kind of clean up their act, but it was like crazy because I remember like wanting to cash a check. And he's like, "What are you gonna do with all this money?" I was like, "I'm just trying to cash a check from work, Dad. Like, I don't even know. Like, what do you mean? What am I trying to do with this money?" Like, and it didn't come to my mind that like there was so much. I was just blinders to like what was going on around me just because I wasn't in those circles. I was kind of a country kid, rural, grew up in the middle of nowhere. Didn't really have like all the kids that were close to me. None of them played athletics. So like I hung out with those kids when it wasn't athletics, and not that they were great kids and didn't get in trouble either, but yeah, it's definitely like completely changed because now like that like I just see like my nieces and nephews and what they're exposed to, what's around them. Like heck, the other day, my sister like ordered this bottle of liquor right here off internet. All she did was put in her birth date for me. That's crazy. Like, didn't have to put in, like, nothing. Like, you're telling me, like, some kid can take your credit card and just order them up a bottle of liquor and it just not be a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think it.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's just the world we live in now. And I guess that's something that, like, I don't think about sometimes, being that I'm not around. I would love to go back into coaching, but it'd have to be a special circumstance where, like, someone I hunt with either coaching or something like that, and I can make it work out.
Yeah, it's such a time commitment, but you know, you're talking about kids and you know, exposure to things. It's, you know, I've got a 16-year-old, and then my daughter is 25, so I've got 3 kids in that span. But it's really interesting to look at. In some ways, kids today are more sheltered than we were probably growing up, and you know, I mean, kids are less likely to go ride their bike. My brother and I used to ride our bikes, you know, every day during the summer. We'd ride 10 to 15 miles all over town. My parents never knew where we were. You know, we were just out cruising the town on our bikes. I feel like parents are less likely to allow stuff like that today. So you're out there getting exposure um, to life, but then on the flip side of that, you got kids today that are seeing stuff on social media platforms on their phone at 7 years old that um, you know, kids back then didn't see till they were 16. So um, it's real interesting to see. There's kind of two sides of that, and see how it affects kids. So it's definitely changed things in a lot of ways. Some bad for sure.
Yeah, so let's continue talking about our kids and sports and stuff. Like mine are both little and not in sports yet, but I know your son's doing baseball. I assume he goes to the same school you teach at. Now does he play basketball for you?
No, he played up until last year, and he decided he's a smaller kid. He's not real big, and he decided that baseball was going to be something he wanted to focus on, and you know, that was something. And you know, I think he knew if he's going to play basketball, he's going to have to work really hard for a long time to get his shot to get a little bit of varsity playing time. So he decided to focus on baseball. We're a pretty big school. One of the top baseball programs in the state, so it's competitive just to get on the field with any sport. So he decided he was going to focus on that. So
yeah, I mean, our local high schools are the biggest high school in our states. Well, now they're 4As, but I think they still wouldn't even be 4As in In Arkansas, they'd probably be like a 3A or something. But like, yeah, I think like our biggest school, like if we didn't have kids play multiple sports at that school, like I mean, there's kids that don't now, and it hurts the program so bad that you don't have your best players playing every single sport just because you need an athlete.
Absolutely. It's something then, that's something we with our kids always want them to try to do everything just because, to me, sports up through high school are about enjoying it and having a good time. And obviously winning and being competitive is important, but um, I tell kids that all the time. If you can do a couple of sports and enjoy them and play, I think that's a great opportunity and something that fewer and fewer kids every year seem like they want to do. And I think it's probably pressure from the outside, people saying, man, if you really just focused on this, you could be really good. And I
Oh,
think sometimes a kid, sees the writing on the wall, and there's no sense in a kid if he knows he's not ever going to play in one sport to not go work on another one. But there's a lot of kids out there that are perfectly capable of competing at a high level in multiple sports that just decide not to. So
yeah, I unfortunately played baseball. I hated that game. And I was unfortunately how many guys were on the field? 9. I was the ninth to 10th best guy on the team, so I had to play. My one buddy I hunt with that coaches basketball up here, he always remembers a game we were playing. He might have been pitching, and like we had the game won. We didn't need to go into bottom innings. I was playing first base, and a one hop pass from like third base, and I freaking missed the dig. 2 runs score, and now we got a bat or something. And I'm like, I'm pissed. Like I'm yelling at one of the coaches, like, just bench me. I don't want to do this. Just bench me. And I probably was 0 for whatever I had batted that night because I hated batting. It was like the best game ever was whenever this one boy batted for me and I didn't have to bat. I was like, oh, this is a great night. I don't have to try to hit a ball that I don't know how to hit. And I was just pissed, walked up and was just swinging as hard as I could and tomahawked one for a grand. Like I'm jogging towards first base just thinking, thank God I'm flying out the left field. This is over. And the first base coach is like, touch them all. Good job. And I'm like, what? And like I turn around and look and everyone's cheering. I'm like, where did that ball go? And they're like, it's gone. And I was like, no way. And they're like, it's gone. I was like, I think you're crazy. The only home run I ever hit, and it was a complete accident. I just wanted to be out.
Good way to get one.
Dude, I don't know. That game was so hard to play. Like, I respect guys who play that game at an efficient level because that is, personally, I think football, you just need to be an athlete. And you're good. Basketball, you got to have a shot. If you can run and you're in shape and have a shot and play some defense. But, like, dude, baseball, like, that game is special. Like those, I got to face a couple guys who played in the minors and stuff. And holy crap, like, yeah, forget that. Like,
yeah, that makes it tough.
I don't ever want to see like another 80, 90 mile an hour pitch.
Yeah.
So fun story. You'll find this funny. I know the company I now work at, we had I work with one of our pitchers from my freshman year when we won the state championship. He was the center fielder when he wasn't pitching. His theme song when he walked to the mound was Wild Thing. He threw, I think he threw.
Like, Ricky Vaughn.
He threw like 93, 94 miles an hour, and you had no shit idea where it was going. Like when he caught a fly ball in center field, he didn't hit the cutoff. He just threw it straight home. Like the kid had a cannon on him. And people were like, did he really throw that hard? I'm like, yes. I unfortunately drew the short straw and was a catcher my freshman year and had to catch him. And it was miserable because you didn't know where the ball was going. At halftime, it hit the backstop and bounced back and hit me in the back. Like, it was just, I hated it. It was.
Yeah.
But no, it's hilarious that people are like, was he really that good? I'm like, yeah, he threw the ball freakishly hard and he could bat like no other. Like, I mean, he's got a kid now. His son coming up is pretty ridiculous, I've heard he's already, like, I think he's in Little League. He'll be in 6th grade next year and he's already hitting 50-some miles an hour. And he won't let him play. He only lets him play regular season. Won't let him play any All-Stars or anything. Like AAU, none of that. No travel ball.
That's probably a good thing. I've heard a few podcasts talking about how travel sports are taken away from kids being in the outdoors and doing stuff like that. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. You know, just and my son played some light travel ball. I coach, so we schedule mostly local stuff, but still, on a opening weekend of turkey season or something like that, and you're playing a baseball tournament, like, you got to choose. You can't do both. So it definitely makes it tough on kids and families to get their kids in the outdoors when when they're doing a lot of youth sports. So
Yeah, me and my wife's kind of made that decision that when the boys start sports, they're going to play regular seasons and stuff. And then when we get towards that junior, senior year, if you're good enough, they will find you. I can be the definition of that. I mean, I played Division II football, and my family had no shit idea how to get me recruited. It was in like once one school got interested, then we were like, oh, okay, do we need to start talking to other schools? Like, coaches weren't helping us. No one was helping us. We were just started like putting feelers out there, and then offers started coming in. But then you have for people to understand, like, you probably got them like your offers from your private schools that are a bunch of money that doesn't even cover your tuition. And then you got like your state schools, you actually get money that actually goes towards something useful. But yeah, you got to watch how that money flows in. That's something that I think, like, I could have went to like a bigger school, but I'd come out of school not in debt. I would have went there, I'd have been $20,000-$30,000 in debt probably.
yeah, and there's a lot of those, like you said, that the kid signs, like in baseball. Kid signs to go play baseball, and then you look at what he really gets. Am I cutting out here?
A little bit, but you're good. You're good.
Let me see if I can.
The audio is not cutting out. The video kind of cuts a little bit.
Okay. But yeah, anyway, I think a lot of people get those quote unquote offers, and then they end up getting their books paid for or something like that. And I think a lot of times it's a status thing to the parents to say, my son's got a scholarship to go play at Jacksonville State or somewhere, and then you find out that they're really not getting much money for that. So
no, I think I've told, like, I threw away the binder a while back. I found it digging through some old stuff, and I think I had like $38,000 from a school, and it didn't cover tuition. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, it did, like, $38,000 and don't cover tuition. I don't have $38,000 in my education at a state school.
Yeah.
But okay, let's wrap this up. There was that rabbit hole. I wanted to talk a little bit about your experience with sports and stuff. Let's talk. Let's jump now and talk a little bit about some of the company. Like, so when the company got started, you who did you kind of approach first? Like, I know Dr. Duck is one of your big companies that, like, you kind of provide with stands and stuff. I follow all your social media. I'm thinking he's the biggest one, right? Am I correct in saying that?
And actually,
and he might just be the biggest, like,
he
TV
reached
show.
out to me about buying a stand, and like I said, I really didn't know a lot about the social media game or any big names or small names, and I had reached out to a couple of people that had stuck out to me, or maybe I had a friend say, hey, you need to talk to this guy. And Dennis is a guy that reached out to me about this, and I was like, yeah, man, I'll hook you up. And he was like, well, man, I want to buy him. And if you know Dennis, he's a fantastic guy. Dennis and Billy both. But he bought his stands. I was like, well, let me at least give you a deal on them. And they have been huge assets for me and the company. Just like you said, people see them on YouTube and on their social media. They're obviously really big. So having somebody like that using your stand is awesome. And the fact that they're great guys is just, that much better. So Yeah, being a small startup company, it's hard because so many of these quote unquote influencers want free stuff,
Yeah.
and you're paying a price to have these built. We're an American made company, so um, the cost on a stand to get it here, have it assembled, and um, you know, or assemble them ourselves, and all the parts and pieces that go with it, put it in a box. It costs a lot of money. So when when somebody says, "Hey, I want to stand in return, I'm gonna advertise for you," you got to be really careful on who you choose. And we've had some really good ones, and guys that have done a great job, and consistently still, even though we don't have like a contract with them, they still give us shout outs and stuff. And then we've had some that you see one social media post and then you don't see much after that. So that's been it's been a tough thing to navigate, to say the least. I'm really thankful for some of those guys that have really helped us out and been loyal to us, and do everything we can to, you know, to advocate for them as well. But like I said, yeah, Dennis and Billy have been fantastic, and like I said, they're not like a paid pro staff or anything like that. But I've tried to help them any way I could. Obviously, hopefully one day I'll be able to repay the favor to them. So
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, yeah, you brought up a lot of good points there. The people, when you talk about the influencers of social media, which are the worst people 90% of the time. No offense to you if you are one and you're listening to this or watching this, but some of your friends are the worst people ever out there. I dealt with it when I was in rodeo, and it was funny because like the Rock and Leather, who sponsors this and stuff, who I do paid work for on a regular. I approached him and like about sponsoring us when we were back on the rodeo thing and fighting. I was like, hey, like, you want to pay you want to buy like a spot on our jerseys? He's like, well, how much do the jerseys cost? And I told him, he's like, here, I'll give you this much. He goes, I'll pay for all of them. I'm like, no, dude, no, you don't need to do that. And he's like, yeah, I'll pay for all of them. My name's gonna be on them as long as you wear them when you're fighting and stuff, or we'll be square. And man, I've learned so much from that deal because like I made sure, like, that was my biggest fear, because I was like, man, this guy's paying all it. Even though he's a decent sized company, he's paying a lot of money to have us wear his stuff. Like, we got to make sure we're wearing this stuff. And we did it for so long, and I think we did like a year deal or a 2-year deal every time we did a jersey with him. And then like we were able to work other stuff, and then it became where I started doing media work for him, and now I just strictly do media work because I don't do rodeo stuff no more. But like when we got towards the end there, and I started doing my own rodeo company stuff, dude, the people, the influencers I would deal with, and we would talk about like sponsoring. Like, I learned so much from him. He's like, dude, I get approached every day about someone wanting sponsored for rodeo. I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I've learned. You give them like, and he's like, I figured up the money on it. You give them a pair of boots, X amount of dollars. He goes, if you get 5 media posts, you're paid for. They've paid their, like, he goes, that's how I look at it. So that's crazy to think that he had broken it down to how much, like, he needed a minimum of this to at least like get that. He goes, I know like the PBR came to town one time, and like all the guys were bored, so they went in his store. He was like, they walked in and he started noticing them walking in. He's like, hey, and they were like, yeah, we're so and so. And he's like, yeah, I know. He gave them all free boots. He's like, 3 posts and they're paid for. They can all have free boots. But it's crazy that like I would know people that go see him and try to get money, and they would like come complain. They're like, oh, all he did was give me 2 pairs of boots and like this X amount of money. And I'm like, he could have gave you nothing. What are you doing before him? What are you doing on your social media? Do you even have a social media? Are you even growing? So when we started, I wanted to make guys sign contracts. And he quickly was like, no, we're not going to make them sign contracts. I'm like, I think we should make them, because in the outdoor industry, everyone I dealt with so far, I had to sign a contract. I had to do like deliver X amount of posts a month, X amount of this, and like, dude, I had guys like, I worked for a toolbox company with a good buddy called Cody Nicholson. He's from up in Ohio. Now he does wedding stuff. He started on He runs a very successful wedding company and a bunch of other stuff. Still does some hunting stuff. And I work for him a little bit on the side. But, like, I learned so much from him when I worked for that company because, like, we had contracts that we had to deliver on. And he was the boss. And, like, it was crazy how many people wouldn't deliver on that.
Yeah. I mean, I've been pretty lucky with, we honestly haven't done a ton of like paid partnership type things. And our advertising budget is pretty small. We've really grown, I think, because we've got a good product, and um, it's something that people want, and there's nothing like it out there. Um, so I think that that's been good. A lot of the social media posts we get are from just, guys, regular everyday guys that are using our stand, and, we'll post a picture on social media. So we've been really lucky to have some really loyal customers that have just been good to us. And we're still in that phase where we're, you know, every year trying to figure out how much we need to produce, and um, still making it here in America. So, um, you know, chipping away on it. But we've been lucky to have good people to work with for sure. But there are definitely those out there that um, don't don't give you much return on some kind of favor like that.
Yeah, and I mean, and for anyone listening to this, how I started getting work from Rock and Leather, oh gosh, dogs just come out of everywhere. Um, was I would just go hang out at his shop and like take my camera and shoot some photos and shoot some video. And then he approached me about doing our first project we ever did together was for what's that country singer? He used to be a country singer, Granger Smith. He did a boot collab with him, and the first ever project was shooting a video for that boot. Immediately I was like, dude, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, I'm dead serious. So immediately, like, I kind of watched some videos, and then I went to him with some ideas. He's like, and it was so weird because we were doing a boot collab with this guy, but his team had restricted a bunch of restrictions. We could not use any clips from any of his music videos. We could not use any of his music, which I thought was the dumbest thing ever. If we're going to use it's a boot for him. Why can we not use his music? But it was definitely something that was very, very different, and it let me learn a lot about like the rules of what you can and cannot do within marketing for a company. You got to get all the correct approvals before you do something, and it was definitely different. But yeah, I think you guys have done great. I mean, I feel like the company has I love my stand. I love just creating media around it half the time. I love creating media for basically all the companies all the stuff I use and stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm definitely not a photographer, but I have started to dabble in it because of needing to create social media and stuff like that. So I'm the same way. I've worked with recoil dog vests. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but Austin Coyle, he's out of Louisiana. He started a dog vest company, and I was looking for a vest in Bottomland, and the only one that I had that I liked for my boykin, they discontinued making it, and turns out Austin started making them like last year. So I've done a bunch of media work for him, and both of my dogs, my boykin and my lab, both wear one of his vests. And so every time I'm out shooting pictures, I'm sending them to him, and I enjoy doing it. When I get a cool shot of the dog, splash through the water with the vest on, I'm like, that's the first thing I think of is send it to him, because I know how hard it is as a starting company to get that. And he's got a great product too. He's really making some waves, but um, I like doing it. Like you said, it's kind of fun to put together media and send it to somebody else. So
Yeah, so when we got back from NWTF, I shot a bunch of white backdrop stuff, and I sent you your stuff. I sent every company that I shot for their stuff. Some of them messaged me and was like, "Oh my god, this is awesome! Thank you so much." Some of them didn't even message me back. I don't care. I enjoyed doing it. It was practice for me to do other stuff. And it was something that was said to me down there, and it's something that I can say to you about as far as like using your camera. Because like, I'm not gonna lie, like it's to me sometimes it's a little shy to bring out my camera when I'm around new people because I'm like, how are they gonna react to this? Like, I don't know how. Because I used to have like a ton of buddies I hunt with that we filmed a bunch, and we filmed a lot of stuff dying. We filmed a lot of turkeys dying actually, which we're gonna talk turkey hunting soon. I think like I send in clips every day. I think on my YouTube, they're all hidden right now because like that company that we were shooting for doesn't exist no more. I think we have like 10 or 15 kills on there, but like we just enjoyed doing it. So now it's like, but now like when I'm around those guys, I'm like, do they still want a camera in their face? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like some people,
You know what's funny? You talk about that though. It's like I can't really remember a time where I wish I wouldn't have had my camera out, but I can think of a lot of times where I wish I would have had my camera out. You know, it's so many times I'm, you know, something happens in the woods, and you know, I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have had a video of that. You know, that the tricky part to me is less about the people around me and more about me because I like to enjoy the moment. Um, so sometimes that's hard to do, especially you get your phone out and you're trying to get a video and instead of just soaking it up. So, but yeah, there's a lot of times where I thought, man, where's my camera on that one? I just missed that.
So before you got the NWTF, I was walking around with some of the Heartland waterfowl guys, and I told them about your product. The only thing that sucks is I think it'd be a product they would like if it wasn't for the fact they don't ever hunt timber. So
yeah,
it's basically useless for them. They're always in an A-frame, but granted, they're filming at one of the highest level on national TV. Personally, I think like when they came to YouTube, I'm really glad that like Dennis and them had the quality they had because it would have really hurt them if they didn't. They have outdoor channel quality TV stuff. There's some people that are on outdoor TV that I think don't need to be on there.
yeah,
They just have someone backing because no one wants to go there no more. No one wants to deal with their strengths and all this and all that stuff. There's a lot of podcasts out there talking about that now in the outdoor space, talking about how the TV's dying. Not to go sidetracked, but I think Hunting Public is on like Hulu. I think you can find them on Hulu, maybe Hulu or Prime.
yeah.
One of those, like they stream on like an actual like streaming site. So I mean, outside of YouTube, they have Mossy Go, which is trying to kind of basically keep the last group of like people that are like trying to do outdoor TV together, and I just don't think it's going to last. Like,
Yeah.
I think everyone's going to be on YouTube.
It's tough, you know. You get kids these days, you know, they don't watch TV. I mean, they'll stream some stuff, but it's a lot of YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that. So things have definitely changed.
Well, I mean,
No doubt.
luckily, thanks to Elon Musk and Starlink, that we can do this podcast on video. That was one thing also I heard this podcast was when you're living in BFE, you don't have internet.
Yeah.
But Starlink is amazing. One of the greatest things, like, I don't understand why it didn't exist before, especially at the price point and everything. People complain about the buy-in price, but the buy-in price is well worth the quality.
If you need internet and you're a long way from anything, there's no doubt.
Yeah. But yeah, there's definitely, what were we talking about? I got sidetracked. Dang it. That rabbit just freaking jumped and I chased it. We're talking social media. Oh, but the Heartland guys, like they definitely have that quality that like when it come to YouTube, it definitely showed up some people. But granted, they're also putting I don't even want to know how much their product costs. But when I was talking with those guys, one of their camera guys was there, Dakota Thurn, and I've said this before on here. He made the comment that you can't leave the Ferrari set in the garage. Talking like, because I talk about my R5, which I'm filming this with, and he's like, man, you gotta get that R5 out. And I'm like, dude, I'm terrified sometimes. Like, I'm terrified I'm gonna break a $5,000 camera, and then I'm like, what am I gonna do after that? But yeah, I mean, it's definitely well worth it. I mean, so I'm trying to take that. So like I've told you, when I come to Arkansas this year, I am planning on bringing my camera. We're going to film some stuff, have some fun, hopefully shoot a duck. Oh, just to get sidetracked completely, we're about to deep dive into some hunting. Did you ever try the Boss shells? Not that like I'm sponsored by Boss or anything.
I did. We were on a hunt, and I, I I I remember you gave me, I don't know,
I'd give you like
five.
five or six.
I don't remember how many. Um, and we were hunting, and everybody had shot, and I was just kind of back behind. I had two kids with me, and everybody had shot, and there was a big bull sprig that just sailed right over the top of me, and shot with that boss and just folded it up. Um, but yeah, they definitely have a little bit more punch than the run of the mill shells.
Yeah,
So
and I mean you don't have to shoot Boss. There's Apex.
yeah,
They talk about Kent's coming out with some pretty good stuff. I guess Kent's also talking about going direct to customer. So if you're a Kent fan,
hmm.
there's a chance Kent price dollar might drop a little bit. Or I think they're gonna bring out better quality stuff. I mean they're from here in West Virginia, and I don't even shoot Kent. Sorry, but
Yeah, I do. I've worked with a guy who is kind of a Kent guy, and he said he likes them. So
yeah,
um, I don't have a shell of choice right now. We don't have any shell affiliations or anything like that. Um, Usually, I buy a couple cases at the beginning of the year, and um, you know, I honestly, I still shoot an 870, and out of my 870, the blue box Federals seem like they just knock ducks down better than anything. And I bought some Winchesters this last year, and I don't know, I just felt like they didn't have the same knockdown out of my 870. And I know, there's a lot of that is patterning your gun and what choke you're shooting. But for some reason, my choke and my 870 seems like those blue box Federals. Now I don't think they can compare to a Boss or something like that, but for the cheap end of shells, that's definitely something that seems like they do pretty well out of my gun.
yeah, they definitely do. They definitely do a great job. I'm definitely a big fan of them, but I mean, like you said though, I also hunt with the guys that shoot Kent. A lot of Kents they shoot. I mean, I wouldn't be against shooting Apex. It's just I don't know how to really. I don't know how to get to them.
Yeah. Um, I I don't know. I may move to an upgrade shell one of these days. I think if the duck limit goes down, that could change what a lot of people feel about shells. I mean, if you got a 3 duck limit, probably going to be a little more selective about what ducks you shoot. I always have the old fear in my mind that old Spoonie's going to come into the decoys. I'm going to miss twice and hit it with my third Boss shot shell, and I just spent $7 on a Spoonie or whatever it is. So um, I know there's a lot of people that would argue with that. If you're gonna spend that much money and go that far, you got to upgrade shells. I totally get it. Um, but I don't know. I just haven't pulled that trigger on a case of those yet.
They are getting more expensive, but I'll give you one. So I bought into the whole you got to shoot a Benelli. Not that I didn't buy into it. I wanted a 20 gauge, and I bought that M2 that we took down there, and I bought a Rob Roberts choke that I no longer own. Actually, I still own it. It's in my truck door. It's getting sold to somebody else that has an M2 now. They can now own that choke. I hated that choke. That choke was, I think it was just in that gun. It didn't work. But at the end of the day, like that gun versus like my 28 TriStar, which is probably coming with me next year, just because I think it'll be fun to have a 28 gauge down there. I would much rather shoot that TriStar 28 over that 20. Like I was like, man, I would freaking 20 wasn't worth it. Like I could have bought like a TriStar 20 gauge, and like you talk about, you're still shooting the old 870, and dude, there's nothing wrong with that. I shot one forever when I first started. My
Yeah, something about that 870. I don't know. It feels so comfortable to me, and I'm almost kind of sentimental with it now, and um, I don't know. One of these days, I'll probably add a add an auto to the arsenal and take it out. But I still like the old 870. So
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more guns to choose from out there now too, as they keep coming out.
yeah,
Like you have the Otis arms, which I was wanting to look at NWTF, but they weren't there, sadly. Um, just because I know Forrest and them shot them, and they had some issues. They said, but I mean that's just guns. Heck, I had an Stevens that I had to send back, and they discontinued them, and then they like gave me a different gun, and it was just kind of one of them situations where that my gun was broken, it just didn't work. So it happens. I mean that's just part of it. Like I've gotten defected waders before. I'm like, if it's defected, I could probably get it. My new shins coming are probably gonna be defected. It's my luck.
yeah.
I'm about to determine. If not, my freaking lab will probably chew the tops off of the boots on them. Which I
I
seen.
mean, that's the great thing about working with a good company, though. You know, when you order from Shin, and um, you know that they're going to stand behind their product, and if there is an issue, they're going to fix it. And their product's not perfect. I mean, you know, we assemble all our own dog stands, but we've we've had issues with a couple of them, you know, in the past years, and um, you know, obviously we immediately have corrected the very few issues that we've had. But I think that's the important thing about having a company with some good customer service is, you know, trusting that when you do make this investment, that the company's going to stand behind it. And if there is a problem, they're going to fix it. So,
Well, you got to look at you're a small company. I mean, it's basically I don't know how many people are involved, but I mean, there's really what 5, if that.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a family business. So it's small. So once we get everything and put them together, like we're touching every product. So um, you know, we get a chance to put our hands on everyone and make sure it's right. So that's important to us. But you know, you can't ever have 100% perfect quality control. Um, so having a company that you know is going to stand behind that, I think, is really important.
Yeah, and I mean, I have full faith that that's what you guys are gonna do. I mean, I watched you work with the crowd and stuff when you're at NWTF. Ton of people knew you. Also, I'd like to say thanks for making me look important when we walked up to Dennis and them. I didn't know
Oh, that
you.
was a good time. That was a good
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Like I got my hand shook like I was someone, and I'm like I'm nobody here. Like just standing here wanting to like shake your hand. Because he's a hard person to approach, not because of who he is, but because of who he is, dude. His booth at that place was packed. Like
Yeah.
there was never not anyone in it. Um, it's definitely like that was just a one thing I noticed. So let's jump off over into some of the other hunting you do. Um, I think are you on it? Like I might screw this up. It might have been someone else in Arkansas, but are you on like a hunting lease and stuff in Arkansas? Do you do any other type of like hunting?
Yeah, I mean, I I do every kind of hunting, whatever's in season. I still love to squirrel hunt, turkey hunt, deer hunt. So a little bit of everything, and as much fishing as I can squeeze in there too. So um, you know, try to do everything, and I don't chase deer and stuff as seriously as I used to because I've got kids and stuff. But they're getting to that age now where, you know, I can be a little bit more serious about it. So
Yeah, so that's yeah, I haven't actually tried to like hunt a deer. I sold my bow years ago to one of my buddies that wanted to shoot a deer with a bow, and I don't even know if he's ever shot it. I'd like to get a bow back, but right now, like I shoot 1 to 2 deers a year to kind of just make some summer sausage, and that's about summer sausage and snack sticks, and that's about it. Like I mean, I could really care. I mean, we have plenty of those around here to shoot and take out for that purpose. Um, I really have no desire to go do to go like chase like this buck or anything. And plus, like our state, like if you don't have a massive section of private land where I'm located, it's luck if you luck across like a big buck. Um,
yeah,
that's why, like, I mean, right now I really chase the deer. I mean, not the deer, the ducks and the turkeys. And the ducks, I mean, you're chasing the ducks, you just got to scout them. The fact that we have so much public water to go chase them on, and like I have private land access, it kind of helps giving the access. Now, we don't get to chase them like you guys do down there. As far as numbers, our numbers are way, way smaller up here. But I mean, I think we did decent. I learned a lot this year because like we actually had to chase a flooding year and kind of chase that fresh water, which was kicking my ass very bad. I didn't take the lessons that you taught me in Arkansas about getting to the freshest.
How many I taught you?
Well, when we were down there, you actually, for someone who I just met through social media and was like, hey, like if you're down here, hit me up and we'll hunt together. And like I took a wild chance and sent you a text. I was like, and I told the boy, we was on the road. I was like, dude, this guy ain't gonna answer. And then you answered, and you were like, hey, do this, and like there was so much stuff we learned in 3 days that it was unreal. And it kind of like I'm still learning stuff from like Forrest and you, just like talking to you guys about stuff like, and it's like, and I tell you guys like I don't want a waypoint. I just kind of have a general question about how the ducks react to stuff. And you talked about chasing the freshest water, and we were kind of like trying to do that back here, and we weren't doing it very well. We were about a day behind every time on like getting in that fresher water, which I mean we were record high flood the last like 3 days of season, so that was kind of screwy because it was like getting us into places that we never had hunted before. Hunted a lot of places I'd never even seen. I didn't even know you could hunt there. Well, granted, the water was 10 feet higher than what it should have been in those areas, but it's definitely different when you start chasing that water and trying to figure out where they're going to be at. That was something that I think I learned a bunch from down there. That like, granted, it wasn't flooding when we were there, but like the fact you just answered questions in general. But how does that flooding? Because I mean, you guys should be done flooding. I don't know if we're still flooding right now, bad. We flooded the past 2 weeks. When y'all go about hunting, like, do you hunt public land for like turkeys and stuff now you're in the spring?
Yeah, but most of the turkey hunting land in Arkansas is going to be there's quite a few turkeys in South Arkansas and North Arkansas, but the Delta doesn't have a really strong turkey population. There are turkeys in the Delta, and there are people that kill them, but the population is definitely not what it is in the northern, western, southern parts of the state, which are generally not flood prone. So most of the turkey hunting that I do would be up in the mountains in North Arkansas. So, you're talking, bluffs and ridges and a lot of undulations in the terrain and stuff, and no flooding with that. So,
yeah. So I haven't made it to that part of Arkansas yet. I definitely I was listening to a podcast the other day. Someone was talking about coming to Arkansas, but I guess you guys have a low turkey population right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not what it was. I would say 10, 15 years ago. It seems like it's almost kind of paralleled the duck population. It seems like it's on a downward trend right now. And I've been scouting a lot of public land lately, and have found several birds. I called one up for my friend's son the other day. Didn't get a shot, spooked it at the last minute. He's an 11-year-old, so it was his first time to have to be that still. But we've gotten on some birds on public land, and there's still quite a few in some pockets, just not as widespread as they were probably 10 years ago. So.
Yeah, so I think we actually get lucky and we have a great population of turkeys here. I feel like we do. I know parts of our states right now, apparently they're doing controlled burns, which is insane, which we're going to talk about conservation towards the end of this podcast, because I want to get your feedback on a couple things. But, I mean, so do you guys, like, in those upper areas, like, we don't have, this is something I've learned you guys have, is do y'all have, like, much wild boars affecting those areas?
To me, most of the hogs are in South Arkansas. I would think that's the highest hog population. We've got a lease down in South Arkansas. It's like a deer lease with a lot of pines, and I think I can't remember the name of that region, the coastal plain or something like that. But there's a lot of pines and timberland and stuff like that. To me, I think that's where the biggest hog population is, and we've got a ton of them down there on our deer lease. There are hogs in North Arkansas, but they're not super abundant. It's not they're not really damaging the environment. There's not enough of them to cause major problems. And then I think the same way in the Delta. I think there's pockets of hogs and stuff, but there's not a lot of them. So, um, that's the places I go don't have a hog problem. I think the hogs exist. There's a few here and a few there, but I don't think they're problematic to any of the normal wildlife species there. But South Arkansas, there's where we are. There's a lot of hogs. I mean, you're every food plot you have, every road is going to be torn up with hog signs. So there's a lot more down there.
So, do y'all have a season on your hogs?
No season. It's
No
open
season.
open year round. So
Okay.
you can trap them, you can shoot them. Ours are super nocturnal at in our South Arkansas lease, and you can you can definitely see them every once in a while. I shot a pretty good one last year off the deer stand, but they're pretty nocturnal. There's sign everywhere, and if you have a camera out on a feeder, you will definitely get a lot of pictures of them at night. But they, especially once deer season rolls around, they don't come out much during the daytime.
Yeah, that's something I want to like. My dad took me hog hunting for my like junior year of college, like kind of like, hey, this is gonna be like your college trip. We went hog hunting down in Georgia, and it was a blast. Like I was getting towards. I seen y'all posted that you guys were looking for people for your lease, and I wanted to like, and I thought it said hogs on it, and I was like, maybe that was him, maybe that was somebody else, because I'm trying to get
Yeah,
Jeremy to come on here and do a podcast with me, and he's like anti do it. He's like, I'm not good with the words.
yeah. It's a pretty small lease. We got about 500 acres, so we're trying to we've got about 5 members, but it's got a lot of hogs, and I think somebody, especially if you had a thermal. I've got a friend that does a lot of thermal hunting, and I've been tempted to try to get him to come down there. Um, I think it'd be a lot of fun. I've never done that before, but I'd like to try it sometime.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to get a thermal, and hopefully my wife doesn't watch or listen to this. Those are expensive. I don't know if you've looked
They're
into. Like I thought the guns were high enough, but man, those are. Ooh, I have to take out a
yeah.
loan or something to be able to afford one of those. Yeah, that's Do you think they're driven nocturnal, kind of like we're driving our ducks nocturnal because I like the hunting pressure? Do you think that's what's done it? Like just in general, like
I've got to think that there's some of that. I don't have enough game cam pictures and cameras out to really say for sure that they are, but I will. I mean, they are definitely more active during the day in the spring, summer, and early fall before a lot of deer hunters show up. So I can only guess, but it sure seems like there's a correlation between the two.
yeah, I mean you got to think. I mean we as hunters we put like a ton of pressure on these animals. I mean we definitely drive stuff to. I mean insane amounts. I mean, like the pressure we put on ducks and stuff with everything that's going on right now with them. And just like I'd have to imagine, like with all the thermal hunting now, hog. I mean, I don't even know how a hog has a chance now. I mean, granted, they are a nuisance. They are hard to get rid of. Speaking from some experience here in the state, like when they get loose and they get embedded in that area, like it can take some hard hunting to get them. Like, I mean, you can definitely kill them during the day, but you're not going to do it sitting on a stand. You're going to do it on the foot. You're going to do it moving through their areas and just straight up hunting them. And that was honestly how we had our best success in Georgia. Was we just kind of was on a lease property and we kind of hunted. Dad knew that I was the kind of person when we went there that I wasn't afraid to walk. All the other guys were more there to drink beer and spotlight hogs. So, I mean, we freaking hit the brush, and, I mean, we killed all our hogs out of way, actually. It was on the brush, walking. I think we killed 5 or 6 out of way. But, I mean, we seen a ton more. but yeah, I mean, like they definitely don't move till right at dark. They definitely have learned that they don't have to move till then. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it. Is an animal's going to do what it needs to do to survive, and if there's a scarcity of food and they are forced to feed all day, they will. But I think in most cases they don't really need to. So
yeah, and I think I'd like to think we're doing better with our ducks with all the information we're getting now from DU and Delta, where that we're doing a little better as far as moving forward with how we're treating the ducks with. But I do have a fear with like they're talking more about what's going on the Atlantic Flyway, which is our flyway, with the farm ducks, and how they don't think we're repopulating very well. They're afraid of that, which surprised me when I seen a couple of them like duck DNA surveys come back. Some people in the state did them, and they actually came back more mallard than farm mallard. But I will say that with us, I'm on the side of the mountains that kind of divide our state. So we are Atlantic Flyway, but we get more of the I guess it'd be Central Flyway with you guys. Is it okay? I don't know the flyways. I just screwed up.
we're the Mississippi Flyway.
So what's beside you guys towards us? Is it Central?
Central would be like Oklahoma, Texas.
Okay, we're the other way. So I guess it would be Mississippi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the Mississippi comes all the way over to the high river. But yeah, it's definitely different seeing that the 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 birds that they're having trouble over there on that coast about with them repopulating. Like they're not taking care of their young and stuff. And I'm gonna try to get someone on here to talk about that kind of, because it's information that I think people need to know about and understand, because there could be a chance we come down to not having a duck season for a point in time in the Atlantic or in all the flyways. Technically, they could maybe just do a complete ban one time. I don't know what we're gonna do for a year. Apparently, I'm gonna have to get a lease to hunt hogs and spend a bunch of money on a thermal. But yeah, it's definitely different. It's definitely going to be something that's going to change. I mean, we've dealt with the 2 mallard limit. I don't know how other flyways would deal with the 2 mallard limit. We took it fairly well. I felt like we took it on the chin and was like, okay, let's do it. Granted, they gave us back we went back to 4 now, but I don't understand why we went back to 4 if we're still in trouble. Why did we get back to 4?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about that. There are a lot of podcasts out there talking about this, and I think anytime you can have a conversation about it, it's good. It's a scary thing. I think the scariest thing to me is just the fact that we're in a drought period in the prairie pothole region, but with that drought period, we are getting more and more land tillage and a reduction of possible breeding grounds, and that's scary because those are things that could never or take 15 to 20 years to come back. So even if we do get a wet cycle, it's not like those wetlands are just going to regenerate once they tile it and allow it to drain better. It's that much harder for that to ever go back to a wetland. So it's scary. It's a scary proposition, and something I wish that that the Canadian government would incentivize farmers to leave more areas for breeding waterfowl. But I also understand that there's farmers out there that are trying to make their mortgage payments and everything just like the rest of us are, and they're doing what they can to make money. But it's a scary thing. Loss of habitat, I think, is the scariest thing to me, because it's the hardest thing to reverse. A drought cycle is going to go back. We're going to get rain. But the loss of habitat is something that, is essentially impossible to reverse once they move the other direction.
Yeah. I mean, because they can do, before we jump into Canada, because I'm glad you brought that up, we're going to jump into Canada. Me and Forrest talked about Canada, and I got some thoughts on Canada. I mean, you got to think about it. Like, they could be a wetland spot. They could fix a wetland spot in that amount of dry time, and then it never get wet again. That's something to think about because I've seen farmers do that here, and I mean, I've seen where ducks like we've had like a pretty decent size of blue wings living in an area, and I don't know if something happened all of a sudden, but we were like still getting rain, and all of a sudden a puddle started draining. So I don't know if someone fixed something because I don't know why they lost water all of a sudden in this little area that they were hanging out in because we were still getting rain. They should still have water there. Like something changed. I don't know if a farmer come by and changed something or whatnot, but like something has changed right in that area that those ducks are losing that water now. But to jump over to the Canada real quick, because I know we've been going for an hour and 25 minutes. You're probably getting tired and bored of talking to me. Let's talk the limits in Canada that are ridiculous. They can start shooting so early. And I don't know. Have you ever been to Canada?
Never been.
You would probably want to go like the rest of us. We all
It's
want
on
to go
all
to Canada. It's on the list. When you go, if you got room, I will go with you. I had an invite this past year, didn't get to go, but let's just be in general. Outside of the outfitters, the freelancers going there, there's really no, like, you can't bring back birds. You're limited on how much you can bring back. So you're there for 5 days or whatever you go for, 6 days, 7 days, 10 days. But like then you have your possession limit issue. People are like ditching a bunch of birds. They're either giving them the natives or whatever. But there's like how much control is going on up there. I'm not saying that like guys I know are doing this, but guys double shoot their limit in this state, in like just states in general. Like, there's guys in Arkansas double shoot their limit in a day. Guaranteed. There's guys in Mississippi, Louisiana. I've heard horror stories of Mississippi and Louisiana people doing it in them. But what about the double shooting limits up there? You're talking like they can shoot what 7, 8 ducks.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
you
a lot of
theoretically
birds.
like if you double shot your limit a day, you could shoot 16 hens because you're shooting brown ducks.
Yeah,
and like I was dumb and learned this very, very early in my field hunting and stuff career that a lot of times your first birds the decoy are the hens with the drakes behind. I don't know if that's your experience too. That's what I've seen at times. Is the hens usually lead all the drakes in. So if you don't wait to that middle to back half of the pack, you're shooting a lot of hens every time you come up.
Yeah, I think, and that depends on the time of the year. When there's courtship flights and stuff, I think it can change. Um, you know, where the hens are and all that, but that definitely is a scary proposition. Shooting hens, and I still don't know why we have a 2 hen limit. Although I don't know many people who would go out in Arkansas and shoot 2 hens and 2 drakes for a 4 mallard limit. Very few people I know do that, but um, in Canada, you're talking about shooting, the possibility 2, 3, 4 hens in a limit. Um, that's a lot of nest laying birds that are not going to return. So that's definitely a scary thing as well.
And for the guys that hunt geese, man, them fresh birds off the hatch are so stupid. Like, it's scary how stupid they are. I've seen it in geese here, and I mean, it is unfair what you're doing to them at times. I mean, when you can shoot in the birds, call them right back to you and shoot them again, that's scary to know that, like, they could have been a whole entire, like, 4 or 5 generations you just knocked out that aren't going to repeat. I mean, it's scary.
Yeah. I know that when you get fresh birds, they act silly, and when you get young fresh birds, are even more that way. I can only imagine what they would be like in Canada, and when they first start and they've never been shot at. It's got to be a different experience. So I've had several friends go up there, and um, they have told me it's gotten tougher and tougher the last several years. I know some of that's been there's not water and some other issues with it when it's dry that the farmers can um, harvest their crops a little differently. But um, those ducks have never been shot at definitely act a little different than the ones we get down here in Arkansas. So
Yeah, they definitely don't come in looking everything over about 7 times trying to figure out what's wrong with the situation. But I mean, it's just something that like I've been thinking about that I want people to think about is there's really like, like we're down here trying to do stuff in the U.S., but it seems like Canada's not adjusting their numbers at all. And here's the thing: there's guides in the U.S. who talk about like they might be a limit change in their area, but they're like, we're still going to shoot 3 specs. Like they might be allowed 5 now. They're like, we're still going to shoot 3. We're not going to try to shoot 5. Why can't Canada, like the guides and all, be like, hey, we're only going to shoot let's start shooting less. Let's shoot 4 mallards. Let's shoot 4 ducks.
I think there's so much pressure on those outfitters when people pay the money and book a trip to Canada. There's such high expectations. I think that leaves the outfitters probably feeling on the hook to make sure those clients get lots of birds. And I don't know that that's
Well,
that all outfitters feel that way, but I'm sure that there is some pressure in that direction.
well, I'll say this much. I know my buddies that went up there, they took another guy and they shot, I want to say 200 and some birds in a week. I think it was like it was north of 250. And he complained. We're talking about in 5 days, you shot over 250 birds and you're going to complain about a trip? Like, that is ridiculous. I mean, like, I don't even know what you do with 250 birds. And, like they said, like, there was a lot of snows. I think they shot, like, mostly snows. They shot some ducks and stuff. But they targeted snows for the most part. They went there for snows and specks. And, like, a spec's something that, like, I'm still dying to shoot. My buddy's got to shoot some in Arkansas this year. When they were down there late season when it was frozen. It's definitely something I want to do. Still, we get a few of them here, man. They're just, those things are smart. Definitely a tricky little bird to try to make do something.
They've definitely gotten a lot smarter. They're hunted so much harder here in Arkansas. I mean, I've been hunting in Arkansas for my whole life since I was younger, and I don't. I bet I couldn't count the number of spec spreads I saw on one hand before I was 25 years old. I mean, just something that people hadn't done. And then, most people back then, if you did have spec decoys, you had 4 to 6 floater specs that would go on the edge of your duck decoys. But now with the silhouette decoys, anybody can afford to get 5 or 6 dozen silhouettes and set those up, and when duck hunting gets slow, we'll just go on a spec hunt. So they've definitely gotten a lot more pressure in the last 10 or 15 years than they ever did before that. So
and the amount of the amount of birds in y'all state to just kind of like cap that up is for people that haven't drove around that state is ridiculous. That was the funniest thing about my buddy I had down there with me. He was like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "There'd be a random field full of birds, like a mile long," and I'm like, "Yeah." But, like, the amount of, like, I'd say, like, I see it here, like, when I'm hunting, like, there'll be times I'm like, that goose is close enough, you can shoot it. And I know it's close, like, it's definitely, like, the 35-ish range yard. But, like, and then I'm, like, here, and I see people shoot it, like, try to shoot one at, like, 55, and I'm like, what are you doing? And, like, we see that all the time here. Like, we'll see it, like, every couple hunts. But I guarantee down there, those specs and those snows see it daily.
Yeah,
and I mean
no doubt.
That's going to cause a lot of problems.
They make a low pass, and somebody says, "Well, let's try them out." And how many of those do you educate and possibly cripple, and they don't make it through the season because they've got an injury, but you're definitely not going to get them. So yeah, we all want to see them do it right, and it's a lot better when they do. So
yeah, so we're talking conservation and a little bit of hunting. Let's jump over to, I think your next show you're going to be at, it's going to be a Delta, correct?
Right.
So you're going to Baton Rouge. Am I correct in that?
Yep.
I couldn't con the wife in the driving down there, so I won't be there, unfortunately. That's one thing that sucks. Like I was coming to Delta actually this year. Like I was planning on being at Delta until I found out it was going to be in Baton Rouge. The real question is, am I going to go to the DU next year when it's in Memphis?
I'm already signed up for that one. So
you're signed up for that one? Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be at that one. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about Baton Rouge. I think it'll be a good time. I know a lot of Cajun boys, and they all like to have a good time. So I'm excited about it. Don't know how many dog stands we'll sell down there because I know there's some trees and some guys that hunt dogs and whatnot, but there's also gators and a lot of marsh. So
that is true.
We'll see.
Yeah, Forrest offered to take me on a duck hunt in South Arkansas. He's like, "Yeah, we'll go early season." I'm like, "Well, what's the big deal?" And he goes, "Oh, there'll be alligators." I'm like, "Yep, I'm out." My wife, that'd be the hunt. Like, I could probably not get my wife to go on a duck hunt, but if I told her we was going to see a gator, she'd probably be in the car, be like, "Let's go." Like, no, like that was like when we was on our honeymoon. We used to pay that. We went to Hilton Head. We would pay. You had to pay to go on this island. We'd pay to go on the tip of the Hilton Head Island and drive around the loop so that we could look at gators on the golf course because she is obsessed with looking at them. I'm like, why do you want to look at, like, I can't stand snakes. It's bad enough I hate snakes. Like, there's no way. I don't even want to think about a freaking gator now. That's just not my, nope, I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see how you do down at Delta. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have a pretty awesome booth. I've seen pictures before of your booth. Have you changed your booth anything different you're doing as you go to the Delta from the last one?
You know what's funny is when we started that, we went to the first show was a DU show in 2020. They did at Texas Motor Speedway, and I just kind of put it together and tried to figure out a way where I could put some trees in there, and I had this homemade metal welded cube that I screwed some trees on, and it worked great. And so we've kind of kept it the same way. It kind of allows us to demo multiple stands at the same time. So probably won't change it too much. If it works, don't mess with it.
Yeah,
so
if it ain't break, don't fix it.
Yeah. So we'll probably keep it pretty much the same. I'm curious to see how we do, but I know it's going to be a good time, and it's always fun getting to a show like that and get to hang out with all the guys in the industry, and it's a good learning experience in a lot of different ways. So
yeah, I mean, it's like you said, interesting just getting to meet the people in the industry. That's the cool part. I would like to. I would love to go to a show and work a show somewhere sometime. It's just one of the coolest things ever because you if you believe in the product, which you truly do believe in your product, and you have a good reason to believe in your product, there's tons of people backing it. I mean, it's a great product. The fact that I've shown it to guys, like there's guys that I know that want to buy it that have never seen it. They're like, "Hey, can you give me a discount code?" I'm like, "No, buy it full price. Quit being a tightwad." Like you. Oh, I could get on a ramble about that right now. I haven't drank enough alcohol yet to do that yet. That's one hunting buddy that would not appreciate the ramble I would go on about him. I mean, I'll go a little spill. I mean, some people are going to know who it is. I won't use his name, but he drives a company vehicle that they put the gas in. So he never has to buy gas in one vehicle, and one vehicle is free. I mean, you can't complain about having to buy a dog stand if that is your situation in life.
Shoot, he got to be driving every hunt. He got to be driving to Arkansas.
He does drive that. He does. That's the thing. Like, they don't care. They let him do whatever he wants. I'm like, dude, you need to be getting on the road there. But, yeah. But no, my other buddy who bought a dog off me, freaking awesome little Clyde. It used to be a little fat puppy. Now it's no longer fat. He's lanky. I'm excited to see how he does, dude. He's doing real well. We've trained a little bit together. I need to get back training with him because we'll go into that in a second. Sorry, brain's racing quick here, but I'm excited to see like how your show goes down there. I think it's going to go great. I'm really excited to see DU. Do you have any plans to try to go to the NWTF? Even though it's the National Wildlife Turkey Federation, it's more of a duck show than it is a turkey show to an extent. It's
I really think I may pull the trigger on NWTF next year if I can get in. This past year, I was going to do it, and I signed up a little late, and they were sold out. And then about a week before, they called me and said, "Hey, we got a booth open," and there's just no way I could do it. So um, I don't know. That may be something I try to do. I'd love to do it,
Well,
but
if you need help at NWTF, I'm all like. Apparently, my wife come back home and told her one of her friends who lives away from us a good way. She was her friend in college. They were in our wedding. That we had went to NWTF, and like her husband was like, "Dude, I want to go back to NWTF." He's been like, I think one other time. So they've already planned that we're going to NWTF next year. Like they've already booked that. Like she's like, it was so much fun. We're going back, and I guess the kids are all coming, and they're going to do like days at the thing. I was like, dude, I hope Todd or someone comes that I can hang out with, because I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
so much fun. They want to work at booth, right?
Dude, my wife would. Dude, she would. You would not want my kids there. You would see terrorizing in like 10 seconds. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fun talking to different people. I've tried to work for Rock and Leather a few times, but like when he goes to his big conventions, but my job usually prevents me from getting to go work with him a little bit, just because of the time frames when he's got to be there. It's hard for me to take off 2 weeks to go to a convention for a boot company. But like, and also like, it makes more sense for him to take internal people than to hire a third party person on the outside, especially when he has tons of salesman guys. But no, like I love like bullshitting with people. It's like that's why I love doing this. I mean, it's one of the funnest things ever. Like, give me a little bit of bourbon and like I'll just talk someone's ear off. I don't care. But yeah, that the DU one's interesting because I'm thinking about considering it. It's I gotta see what we can do in Memphis for a family vacation, so I can swing this as an idea.
Yeah, Memphis is a good place for it. You know, right there in the on the Mississippi River. You're close to Arkansas. You got a lot of Tennessee and Mississippi. So yeah, I think it'll be a good show for sure.
I'm interested to see where Delta and DU go next, because you got to think eventually they got to go West Coast or North Carolina or like
I mean,
the Southwest.
I was kind of hoping Delta would keep their expo in Little Rock forever. That was awfully convenient for me, but I guess that was just wishful thinking.
I mean, I thought they would have. I didn't know there was this whole idea about moving it, because I don't know why you would move it from the duck hunting capital. I mean, did they do so bad? I mean, I heard it was packed every day. Like,
no, it was great. And I talked to Brad Heidel from Delta, and he just said that they're trying to kind of move it around, and I think it may have something to do with hunter recruitment and trying to, just kind of spread it out, give other people an opportunity to have it. But I did enjoy it in Little Rock, and like I said, that second year, it was big. There's a lot of people there, so
yeah. Yeah, it definitely looked like it was a lot of fun. I wanted to go. I thought I had a booth I was going to work there, a call booth. So I thought I was going, to be honest. Something happened and they didn't go, the Goose Call company I'm with. And they were going to split it with a duck boat company. So like I might actually have a chance to go work a booth down there. I don't know as far as that. But I mean, if I'm there and you need help boxing something up or putting something together, let me know. I mean, I'll gladly bullshit.
It'll be a good time. I know that. I don't know how much we'll sell, but we're gonna enjoy it.
Dude, I sold a NWTF. I sold a agitator from Bluebird Waterfowl. I just walked by their booth and I was like bullshitting for a second with a guy and a customer, and the guy was like, "I just don't know about it." I was like, "Dude, trust me, it works." I was like, "We slaughtered the shit out of wood ducks one day because of that thing in the fog. Like, we treated them pretty poorly. Like, it was kind of mean what we were doing to them. Like, they were swimming into it. Like, it just, like, they were landing in the fog. We didn't know that they'd swim in and just ignore us. They'd catch us off guard and just, I mean, we shot a 2-man, and no one else could kill anything that day. And, like, we shot a 2-man with it. I got a free hat, but I really didn't want the hat. I mean, thanks, Bluebird. It was awesome. It's definitely an interesting company to talk to, because you guys can't even use, unless you're private land, any type of fun any type of cheating system other than a jerk rig,
Yeah.
which I'm trying to find out if we're gonna have a jerk rig for you. I'm pushing some people to have a prototype jerk rig for you, but I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know if they got some follow through or not. Which is interesting because we can talk about this off air. We can't talk about it on here because of who's it's similar to their idea. It was funny because I showed them the video and they're like, "Oh, that's actually very similar to our idea." It was someone else that doesn't patent their idea either, which
Yeah.
you might know who I'm talking about by saying that.
Well, I mean, I do know that, and I actually had a lawyer tell me that he's like, why don't you just make it? He's like, it's not protected, but and he's like, you better make sure if you're gonna put a patent on this, it's gonna make a lot of money because you got to recoup all the money you spend on that patent. And I think a lot of people do that and just start making it. The scary thing is, if it does turn out to be a big thing, then your idea is not protected. So
it's not protected, or one of the big dogs can come take it.
yeah,
I mean that's one of the. I don't think there's anyone really that hard up in the outdoor industry to do that. But
no,
you never know.
I mean, I have seen some copying,
but
it happens in every business. But I mean, I don't know how much. I don't know. I'm still looking at that. We were lucky enough to get patents on ours, so I'm hoping that that layer of protection will keep anybody from trying, because the last thing you want to do as a small company is have to litigate against somebody. So it's something that you hope just by the fact that you have a patent will keep people from attempting to knock you off.
I will say this. I think you're good for right now because I think a lot of people ignore the dogs. I think it's a pretty well-known fact that, I mean, if I was to think of dog companies that have a stand or some sort, a blind, I have Rig 'em Right, Tangle Free, Mo Marsh, and you. I have 4. That's all I can think of. There's probably someone else. There's probably someone else small or something out there. But, I mean, that's it. I mean, I don't see anyone, and they all have their own kind of niche, like Tangle Free and Rig 'em Right are fields. Mo Marsh is Mo Marsh. I mean, it's kind of, to me, it's an amazing training stand. Its hunting capabilities is great. It does a good job. I've used it in Arkansas. It works. It's kind of annoying, though, to an extent because of the size of it. And I had trouble with dogs laying down on it, which that's one thing your stand does prevent. Going back to your product, is dogs can lay down on it. Yes, they can. My freaking female, she'll find, if she can find a way to lay down, she'll lay down on it. Both of my big females will. Even my new little female pup, like I've seen her lay down on it before. But I mean, they're not comfortable by any means. And I think it kind of does keep their head in the direction you want it, though. I've seen guys with Mo Marsh let their dogs get their head the wrong direction, and that turns into someone screaming at Fido while he runs the wrong direction. And it's funny. As funny as it is, it's kind of annoying also at the same time.
Yeah, as long as it's not your dog, it's funny.
That is true. I've gotten lucky. Which my one yellow dog, I posted a picture, and like I told, me and Forrest have talked about this a few times. I hunted her last year because my female had those pups. My Brandy that I brought to Arkansas with me, my good female. I call her there's nothing wrong with my yellow female. She's at my parents'. She's living her best life. She's probably going to be a squirrel dog and whatever else they want to do with her. The other day, like, this is how good of a dog she actually is. The other day, we was up there, literally yesterday, cutting plastic from my mother's flower bed. And the wind's blowing. I could bring her over, put her in place, and have her hold down the plastic so I could hold it in place while I cut it in the yard. And, like, she'd let it wrap around her. She didn't move. She just laid there and took it. But her only issue is when you shoot something, her drive is just not there to go get it. Like, it's one of the most annoying. And some guys are like, oh, I wouldn't mind having a dog with a little less drive. It don't break. I'm like, well, my one with drive doesn't break 90 2% of the time, but like even when she does break, like I can correct her and she knows what she did wrong. Like I'd rather have her motivated to go than literally looking at me like, "Are you gonna go pick that up, or do I have to get up?" Kind of attitude. It's rough sometimes to have that attitude with you hunting. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. It's a catch-22. You know, the dog with the motor, they're fun to watch, and man, they're fun to train and all that stuff. But when they have the high motor, there's a lot more generally obedience issues and things that you have to deal with. And you know, when you get lucky and you get one that's got kind of the best of both worlds, you better enjoy it because they don't come along like that all the time.
no, and I think Brandy does a really good job shutting it off. She doesn't do a great job like shutting it off while you're hunting, like unless it's slow. If it's slow, she can just shut down. But like as far as like when birds are working and stuff, dude, she gets a little whiny. We fixed the whole like loud whine thing one time on a hunt. I thought I killed my buddy's ears. Sport dog, you have a great bark controller because it like got her good. Actually had one of the pups. My son's birthday was this past weekend. My one buddy bought a pup. He doesn't duck hunt. He duck hunted one time with us. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna buy a pup and train it." I'm like, "Oh God, this is bad." He's got two little twin boys that are the sweetest two little boys, and I'm like, and they have a dog that I don't like. Between me and you, I don't like it. It's like a husky something mix. I don't like it. I don't trust my kids around it. I don't trust their kids around it. It just makes me nervous. But I tried to. I was like, take this pup. I sold it to him at like a good deal. I was like, buy this program, which was the Freddie King program, and start training it obediently at least so it behaves. He brought it over the other day, and it kind of wanted to face bark, which anybody that's trained dogs know face barking is the worst. My dad grew up doing coonhounds and bear dogs, and if you had a dog that face barked, they were going to beat it with a lead strap. I was like, "Hey, he's like, I got a shot collar on it." I'm like, "Can I see it for a second?" And like, he didn't know that it had a bark. It was a sport dog, had the bark mode built into it. Turned that on, and he's like, he come outside. He was inside with his kids, and came outside. He's like, "How you got my dog all calmed down?" I was like, "Dude, the bark mode fixed it." I was like, "I put it on bark mode." She face barked my pup one time. Got shocked for it. Was like, kind of like, where did that come from? She did it again. Got shocked again. She just come over, sat down, and lay down. I'm like, "There you go." I'm like, "That'll fix that." I was like, "Turn that on. Don't let her face bark another dog." I was like, "Because you will get a dog fight going, and then that's just going to be an ugly mess when it gets done." But I mean, you know as well as I do, like face barking is the worst. I can't stand a dog that'll face bark another dog. Our dogs had never met each other in Arkansas, and they didn't even care about each other really, which was
Yeah,
which was the coolest thing ever. They just like didn't. It's pretty awesome when you can put two dogs that have never met each other in the same area, and they're just like, yeah, whatever. It was like perfect. Now they both did definitely want to retrieve, and I love the high energy they both had, which was awesome. I just wish we'd have shot more ducks for them.
yeah,
Next year we're gonna do that. I'm bringing. I'm shooting every wood duck I see. I'll just put it that way. I'm not gonna. Okay, I will say this much. So when we went down there, I was terrified to shoot a wood duck, especially on the first day. Even though you told us to shoot wood ducks, I was like still nervous. I was like, what if I shoot a wood duck and he gets mad at me? Like, I don't want him like to not want to hunt with me ever again, and like stuff. And like it. I think you posted a picture. I think of because y'all did the Rixey like the dog stand post, and it was the baseball player. I think it was a baseball player's photo of all the wood ducks behind him with the dog stand. Was it a baseball?
yeah,
That was one of the prettiest pictures I think you guys posted. I kind of want to print. I wish it was me so I could print it and like put it on my wall. Like I hope he
yeah.
has that printed and put it on his wall. That is one of the prettiest pictures ever.
Yeah, you know the wood duck thing is that's a hot topic and um, one that people get pretty heated about. And there's a lot of days where I won't shoot wood ducks. You know, if I'm in an oxbow lake and you know like kind of somewhere we were hunting, I'm they're coming in landing the decoys. Let's go. If I'm hunting by Meta or somewhere on the Cache River in some timber and there's people nearby, then there's a lot of times where I won't shoot wood ducks. I think it's just a time and place thing. And I, you know, They call it duck hunting, and if you get a duck landing your decoys, I'm not gonna be mad at you if you shoot one.
Well,
Um, you know, but like I said, kind of time and place. We got mallards working. I'm probably giving them a pass.
well,
So
we also need to clarify that I was there the 1st of December, and that's why I'm going back next year. Is the 1st of December. It's just because it works out with our season here. We don't have a season in. It fits my schedule. I've actually, man, haven't told my wife this yet, but I've been invited back for a second trip. Actually, I've been invited for 3 trips. And it's really hard because in the back of my mind, I'm going, I could pull my boat down there. I can see what Todd's doing because I'm just invited. Like I'm not like invited. Like, hey, you need to bring your boat to hunt with X. I'm kind of just invited. I was like, because there's room. I'm like, I could bring my boat, see what Todd's up to, and like I was like, if Todd's like got room and want to film, I was like, I can go film with Todd. Like, I mean, like I get to the point where like I don't even care about shooting anything. Like, there's a lot of trips we go on that like I don't even care about shooting. Like I've told you and Forrest both, if you guys want a black duck, hit me up. Like we'll come shoot a black duck. Kind of sucks because the best time of y'all seasons is in during our season, so it's hard to leave good hunting to come over here to like questionable hunting to shoot one duck. But yeah, like I mean that's like I don't even like care about like this is about to sound real pity. Because a lot of guys would love to shoot black ducks. I don't even care about shooting black ducks. I love to be in on good mallard shoots and stuff, but I like one of my favorite hunts from last year was like a 7-8 bird day that I didn't even pull. Like I pulled the trigger once. Like my dog got to pick up all them birds though. That was the best thing about it.
yeah,
I,
I'm
I got
I'm that point in my hunting career where I can go, and if we're having a good hunt, I don't have to touch a gun. I can just watch. We go on a big duck hunt with a bunch of buddies from college every year in January, and I find myself a lot of times we got a big blind, and a group of 3 will come in, and I'm just standing back watching.
yeah.
Um,
I mean it's
enjoying the show.
and it's definitely dude, and it's one of the most annoying things ever because like I don't know how much you got questioned about hunting with me when I came down there by your friends, but like anytime I hunt with someone new up here, like I have one half of my friends are like, "Where are you taking them? Where are you hunting at? What are you doing?" Because they don't want me to take them to their spots, and then this other group of friends like, but we don't. And I'm like, you guys would get along if you'd talk to each other, just because you're 2 different sides of the aisle because of I met you through 2 different ways. And it was kind of cool last year. We got to go on a hunt where like my one buddy was bound and determined he was going to go to place X. And like I probably should just put us on a group chat because it solved every problem that morning. And like we show up at a ram and I'm like, hey, he's going to place X. He goes, well, and the one buddy was like, well, hell, if I knew he was going to go there, he didn't want to take him there because he already knew about that place. And he's like, well, I don't want to. And like I was like, shit, I'll call him and see what he's doing. So I called him and he's like, yeah, I'm setting everything out decoys. I was like, you care if we drive like the 20 minutes up there and throw the boat in and come hunt with you? I don't care. And the whole deal was like, I was like, this is annoying. When we got there, I was like, you 2 need to meet each other. Here, I will text you. You will have both of each other's phone number because this is annoying you 2 would get along so well. But I was like, it's annoying trying to text both of you to try to figure out what we're going to do the next day when the one's in college, a coach like you, so his time is limited. He's a college coach. So that makes his time even worse. It's Nick. Like, you're so limited, like, especially because, like, January, he starts recruiting college kids, which I don't know how long he can last because he loves duck hunting. He's wanting to go to Arkansas, and I'm like, dude, if you want to go to Arkansas, recruiting in January is not going to happen.
You just need to recruit some Arkansas kids.
Dude, that's a great idea. Dude, they would love to probably come to Western. I mean, he actually coaches at like I think they won their conference last year and made like the 2nd or 3rd round in the playoffs in Division II. Like they're actually like a really good football team. But for what like, and this is. I don't know how I can say this. I think I said this. The podcast from me and him come out right before this one. So I don't know if I can say this or not. I'm not going to say the dollar value. But for what he gets paid to coach, he's in it for the love of the game and not for the money. We'll put it that way. I could text you that number off air, and you would be like, yeah, that would be probably a hard pass for me. I mean, the hours he tells me he puts in, it's rough. Definitely not like, but he loves the game, and he played college football there. He was a great athlete, and he loves the coach. So, I mean, I get it. Just like you get it. I mean, you coach basketball because how much you love it. You know what I mean, it's not because of the money, I would assume.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
I mean, like you said, it's like circling back to the start of the podcast. Like you talk about, like it's the time and everything you get out of it. Like is nowhere near. Like your dad said, it's not worth. You don't get the money for your time.
No.
You get a little bit of money to kind of do for a little bit of the time that you put in, but you also get to like take these young men and hopefully guide them towards. And honestly, I love when this is about to sound like nothing against any of the coaches out there, but I love when like I see an outdoor coach coaching a high school team, someone that's an outdoor person, because it opens some kids up to that. To be honest, because they're gonna ask you questions about your personal life. I mean, that's kind of why we're here doing this, like to find out a little more about you. But like, they're gonna ask you about your personal life, and you're gonna tell them about duck hunting. You're gonna tell them about turkey hunting stories, and you're gonna tell them all these stories that like they might get back with their friends and decide they're gonna go do this sometime down the road. I've seen a ton of kids get into it that way, get into fishing a lot of times because it's one of the easiest things to get into is fishing.
Yeah, for sure.
But we've been going for 2 hours here. Let's finish this up with what is there anything new? Because I actually don't know, or what's next for Rixey? Do we have an idea?
Yeah,
Do we have a direction?
that's a good question. So last year we came out with a quick hook, which attaches to our stand. You can hang stuff on. It's a really cool accessory. We are working on right now. We're supposed to have a prototype this week, which is our leveler for our stand. We got one last year. I didn't like it, and we kind of went back and forth. Supposed to have some new ones cut, a little bit different design, which will allow you to hook to an angled tree. So, well, hopefully we're going to have that. And then working on probably the next thing out will be a boat blind attachment or a boat attachment that will allow you to hang your stand on the side of the boat and use it as a dog ladder for people that want to, hunt out of a boat blind or take their dog to the lake or whatever. Getting your dog in and out of the boat's always a challenge. So that's probably the next thing after the leveler that we're going to have. So hoping to have a couple of those things out and at least have prototypes early season, so that we can possibly get them into the works before duck season kicks off. So
yeah, I'm definitely interested in. Actually, I'm interested in both the leveler and the boat thing. Not because I run a boat with float pods, so like I have my boat taken care of. But actually, I was approached the other day from a guy who I actually bred my dog with that has a couple labs, and he was like, "Hey man, I need something so I can get my dogs and get back on the pontoon." We looked at a couple different things, and they really don't make anything. Like they make a couple stands out there, but none of them are really that well made. We'll put it that way. So I'm interested to see what you come up there. I can kind of see maybe the vision you're going with. I can't wait to see the leveler because like I've thought of this because that is one thing in West Virginia and Ohio. Apparently, we can't have a damn straight tree for nothing anywhere. Apparently, they're all crooked as all get out.
Yeah, a lot of those willows here in Arkansas that we hunt are like that. You won't get a straight one; they'll be always canted one side or so.
Okay, I'm gonna ask this because I don't know if it's like on your Facebook or not, so I might like your social media or anything. But was you gonna go? Like I knew at one point in time. Oh, look, my camera just died. So now, yeah. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. This happened to me in Forest. Oh, yep. So you can't see me right now, can you? Oh yeah, you can. You can see me, can't you?
I can see.
Oh no. Oh, I have to just switch it over here. Okay. Just for the podcast, but I'll finish my question. So, are you guys? Did you? I know you had talked about coming out with a lighter camera. Not a lighter camera because I'm looking at my camera. That's my fault. A lighter stand. Did y'all continue that process, or are y'all changing directions there? What's going on right now?
I we actually made a couple of them. We made like 5 prototypes, and Dennis and Billy actually had a couple of those this year that they ran, and really liked them. Just trying to figure out if it's going to be cost efficient to make a whole different stand, and how much interest we would have from people in making those. So the platform is a little bit smaller, the frame's a little bit smaller. It is significantly lighter. Um, so it really comes down to, whether or not we're going to have enough interest to, um, motivate us into producing them. I think there's definitely a want for them. I think people want them. Um, but are there enough people to merit us making a whole new product off of it? I don't know.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I guess you got to look at where that X relies between supply and demand and that cost, because I assume it's going to be a cost more. It's going to cost you more to make it. Going to cost you more to put it together. You're probably going to be like all the other. You're probably going to be like a small business and try not to raise the price, but you can't. You can't take a loss on something either.
yeah, it's kind of like a restaurant. You want to have 1,000 things on your menu, but you also want to be great at a couple things. So, um, that's a couple things we're looking at. So we've got to retain our product integrity, number one, but also, how many of these are we going to sell? Because if it's, you know, 30 or 40 of them over the course of the year, then it's probably not worth, um, making a whole new product for.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what you're like. I felt like you sold that one low there, 30 or 40. I felt like 100 would still be a low number probably in that area. That I could think, I would think you would hit easy because of the quality of your product. I mean, I have one set in my garage right now. I'm already considering buying a second one. Like, I'm trying to figure
well,
out.
I'm
But
just talking about the light version.
yeah,
Like, if
well,
we were to come out with just the light one, how many people want that? I would want one. Um,
yeah. I mean,
and I carried one last year, and it was a heck of a lot easier than anything out there on the market. But I'm also an anomaly. A lot of people don't like to take off and walk like I do, so
I will say this much,
it makes it a lot easier.
and like, no one will know where this was, but I have not been in the wood. Like, my dad, like a few years ago, ever since I've been married, I got married. Like, my dad had a back incident. Like, I'm not making excuses for him because he's the last person that wants to hear me make an excuse for him. But like, he messed up his back pretty good. Had surgery, got it fixed. But I have not been in the woods with someone in a while that just like takes off through the woods since like he was in full health and like would just leave me set in the woods until we were down there with you, and I went, shit, I forgot what this was like. I was not like, because I just wasn't ready for that pace. Like, it wasn't like it was like I was like out of shape so bad behind you, but I was not ready for that pace. I don't think like the three of us that was behind you was ready for that pace. Granted, I understood why you did that pace, and you had a right to do that pace, and probably did that pace for more reason. Was probably lied to about some other stuff that involved like what that person said, what that other kid said to you, like, oh, we weren't like planning on. I was like, I felt like that was kind of a lie. I felt like that was
Yeah,
like it was.
yeah. Well, when you wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, you get in the truck, you load the boat, you get all the way to where you want to go. The last thing you want to do is
Turn.
not get the spot you're trying to get to. So
Yeah.
if that entails a little sweat equity, then you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So before we get into some quick topics with you real quick, some quick facts. Something my dad used to love to do was when we were, and he was like a professional at it, especially coon hunting. I hated coon hunting. First off, I don't like to stay up late. But he would wait. He would get out in front of you, and then he would wait. And the second he would rest, the second you got even with him climbing a hill, he'd take off, so that you got no break, and he would just get out in front of you again a couple of inches and wait. And I mean, he could put you in the ground on that. And I mean, we're 6'2", we're both long legged. Like, I mean, I've done it to other people. I've done it to people myself. Like, it's very easy to do. He made the comment to me. He's like, I don't get around in the woods as well as I used to. I was like, I still feel like you get around pretty good. I definitely want to get him on a hunt sometime this year. I'm hoping to. Maybe an early goose or something. I now have enough set of waders since I have 3 sets that he has a pair of waders at least to wear. But yeah, we're definitely going to get him on a hunt. But let's hit some hot topics real quick with you. Some questions I have for you. So I don't remember this. So breakfast on a duck hunt. What are you going with? Are you bringing a snack or are you cooking?
Man, I like to cook anytime you can. I think that just adds a little bit to the morning. Unfortunately, a lot of the spots I go require a walk-in, so those mornings I'm probably going Pop Tart or some kind of gas station Danish. Um, but anytime I've got the a place where I can drive the boat to, I'm going to try to cook breakfast when I can. I really enjoy that.
I need to bring some Danishes next year. When I come in December, remind me to bring Danishes. I'll bring some Danishes down. I'll have my wife cook some. Okay, let's go for your morning drink. Are you doing energy drink, pop, or coffee?
Oh, coffee, black.
Coffee.
I've got a super sized Stanley thermos I've had for about 20 years, and it'll hold almost a whole pot of coffee. So there's a lot of mornings I drink that whole thing all by myself.
Okay, are you going with a fancy coffee or are you going just your normal Maxwell's coffee?
I like a strong coffee, but it doesn't. I don't do any kind of like flavored coffee or anything like that. So
Okay. I need to turn you on the Dirty Duck. They're not a sponsor of this yet. I'm trying to talk them into it.
I've had their coffee. They were at the first trade show I went to, and I met them. They're real nice folks.
Dude,
So
they're actually awesome. They're actually really nice guys.
yeah,
Did you buy a cup when you were there? Because if you bought a cup, you need to take it to Delta because you'll get free coffee.
I want to say they were just giving away coffee. I don't remember.
Well, I think they'll give away examples, but if you buy the copper mug, which we had at NWTF, if you bring that copper mug to any of their shows, you get free coffee. Like
Oh, that's cool.
you just walk up and fill it up. And like my wife, like I've turned my wife on the cold brew of theirs. So like I bought like $150 worth of coffee while we were at NWTF. Like I walked down and like I just walked up and I like moved people all the way. I was like, get out of the way. They're like trying to buy a cup of coffee. I was like, hey, I'm about to spend real money. Can you move? Hold your $5 for a second. I need to spend some money. And they were like all looking at me. I was like, I need a bag of this. And they're like staring at me. I'm like, I drink a lot of coffee, okay? My family, we're pretty like, I mean, I say it doesn't affect me no more. I just like it. I like black coffee. They don't really have very many flavored. It's more caffeine driven. I think I really can't tell a difference in it. But if I don't do coffee, I'm doing a Monster energy drink. Okay, I think I know the answer to this one because I hunted with you. Are you doing cigar, cigarette, or nothing in the morning while you're hunting?
I'm getting old, so I'm trying to get away from all that stuff. So every once in a while, we'll do a, a a little tobacco treat, but I try to I try to stay away from that as much as I can these days.
I do like a cigar if I do anything. I didn't have one in Arkansas. I should have. We did them one morning here, and we shot a ton of birds. And then for the next 7 days, I tried to like smoke those birds back into existence, and they just didn't come back. It's one of those rough ones.
I,
Really, like
I've been trying to learn how to like a cigar a little bit more. Used to hunt with a guy that did the old wood tip swishers, and they always smell really good from the outside. But then when you actually smoke one, the taste is not. It doesn't taste as good as you would think it would.
I got criticized for wanting to buy those, and I forget I bought Swisher, just regular Swisher cigars, and I got criticized for buying those also by the boy I was hunting with. Is so I told him, I was like, okay, you're in charge of cigars from now on because apparently I don't know what to buy. But let's go. Okay, you really? So what is your go-to like? I have to figure out how to word this like. When you're traveling for like a trade show, like, do you have any traditions you do? Like, because I know you've traveled for a few. You've been to Delta was in your backyard, but like, do you have any traditions? Like, you always have like this food when you're leaving, or you stop and like this is your travel snack for the road, or anything like that.
Not so much. You know, I'm I like a little fast food on the road, so nothing fancy. Anytime I can stop through Memphis, I'm hitting Central Barbecue. Um, you know, I guess it kind of depends. Anytime we're going to a town, I'll try to, you know, pick out at least one place over the course of the weekend that, you know, I really want to go eat. But that's about it. Nothing in particular.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I had to word that a little different because for Forrest it was for his competition callings, and for Nick it was traveling for games. And I'm like, you travel. I guess your traveling has been semi limited so far for trade shows since Delta was in the backyard.
Yeah, I would think, you know, being you know, in a competition, I would probably do something like Force. I'd probably have some type of, you know, thing that I went to, but I don't really have anything like that yet.
Well,
Some,
not to make fun of Forrest, but he is pretty plain Jane when it comes to his food. He's very picky. He's kind of like my oldest son. Like it's pretty much chicken or nothing. Uh, but I think that's all I got. Trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, if you want, you know, let's talk about. You got merch on the website. Good merch. I like your merch. I actually have your hat. It's somewhere around this place somewhere. One of your hat. I have a couple of your hats actually. Got a nice hoodie I've seen on there, a couple t-shirts and stuff. But I mean, like a toboggan. I mean, people need to be checking out. Like if you want, I mean, it's good merch. It's like actually like your logo. Your logo is pretty decent. It's definitely like it's plain Jane. It's a logo I like. Like it doesn't like scream at you. It doesn't do anything. It's just a good looking logo. I'll give you that.
yeah, that was kind of when we designed it. It was trying to find something that was not super flashy. And man, you know, talk about that. It's hard to design a logo and not infringe on anyone else's logos, and um, that's such a concern when you come up with a company name or a company logo. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff. So
So I had an LLC in rodeo. This was interesting. I had an LLC in rodeo, and I was doing stuff. And I'm at a rodeo working back pins, and I'm looking at my bull list. And all of a sudden I look and I'm like, hold up. And I walk over to the sign charger. I'm like, what the hell are these two bulls? And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, that's my logo beside these two bulls. And like, I went to get mad, and I turn around and it's these two little boys. And I'm like, dude, I ain't going to say a damn word to these two little boys. Like, they're just living their best life. They each have a bull they're bringing to these shows, and they bring it all the time to this contractor. He's like, dude, he goes, I didn't think about that being your logo when I put that on there and pre-warned you. And I'm like, it's fine. It was like I had a circle and they had a square around their logo, and I was like, dude, it's whatever. My LLC is now dead. I don't know if it still exists. Like, I didn't pay the thing once. I assume it goes away, so they can do what they want with their logo now. But I see those little boys like every year at that show, and it's pretty awesome to see them two kids grow up. And like, it's crazy because that logo was so simple. It was just a W squared. I mean, I never thought there'd be another one of those. Most of the time you see a lot of diamonds or circles of just one letter, but like a square beside that letter, like that's a very weird. You know what I mean? It's a very different thing to
yeah,
kind of have beside of a logo. I mean, like, yeah, as you know, like doing logos are awful. They're definitely very interesting when you get into that world of dealing with that kind of stuff. But let's let you talk about your website, all your I'll post all your social medias on this. Because I don't know if you know them, because I know social media sucks, and sometimes you can't get to have the same name because someone else has stole it. Because
yeah.
um,
Ours is our website is www.rixeyoutdoors.com. The most of our social media handles, and we do have a YouTube, but we don't use it a lot other than for a couple of instructional videos. Is Rixey RXEY underscore outdoors. So that's Instagram, Facebook. I think that'll get you to it. Um, TikTok. Those are pretty much all the same. So pretty easy to find.
yeah, and everybody needs to go check out the dog stands. Oh, okay, we got to talk about a product real quick. What is the hanger called? The quick hook? Is it called the quick
That's
hook?
a quick hook. Yep.
I accidentally ended up with one, thanks to Todd leaving it in my boat when I came over from Arkansas. Dude, I thought about that thing, and you want to know, like, I literally looked at like Jake. We had like gotten like 8 miles down the road, and I'm like, did Todd get that hook out of there? I was like, I seen that hook in my boat this morning. Like, I wasn't like, I mean, I was like, I swore I seen him have that thing in his. He's like, I didn't see it. I'm like, dude, he put that hook in that tray on that boat, and we were just kind of in a rush, kind of gathering stuff up. And yeah, I never even thought about it. And I stopped to get gas. I'm like, damn it, right there it is. And I was like, I'd sent you a message, and yeah, I was like, I'd have packed it up and sent it to you, because I mean, I don't like, but like, yeah, that thing, I actually use that thing. It stays in my boat.
Yeah.
At one point in time, it like rode on my Sika vest, and I was like, screw that. It just stays in the box with the stand. That's why I got to get another stand.
It's really something I use more than I really thought I would to hang stuff on. Makes for a great picture when you hang a strap of ducks right there behind your dog. So I like it for a couple of different reasons, but it's nice.
Yeah, I will say this much: you can never have enough hooks when hunting. You always have more stuff than what you need.
That's right.
Like, I literally carry the hind drop pole, that pole, and a screw in step and a strap. And sometimes I'm like, dude, I don't have enough hooks by the time coffee and everything. But I'm gonna let you get off here. Thank you again for doing this. We've been needing this. We need to do it again whenever you get back from Delta later this fall. Maybe catch up with what's coming out. Right now I don't know how. I'm kind of spacing these out a good bit, just because of like, don't know what the guest lineup's going to be like, but it seems like I've got people lining up. We might start tightening these up some, so maybe we'll have to get you back on here.
Let me know.
Who knows? I might have to drag all this stuff to Arkansas and us just do one in person.
That'd be cool.
That'd be very interesting, because we talked about just for the fun. Me and Jake on the way home, we were like, you know what? Next year, I was like, we went with Todd. We ought to, because we're moving and staying in that other area where we were at. And I was like, we ought to just drive over and like hang out with him one night. If he needs help putting stands together, we'll just drive over and put stands together. If he has a basketball game, we'll just go watch a basketball game for the heck of it in Arkansas. Like, I mean, in the evenings we have nothing else to do. I mean, it is what it is.
Come on.
But yeah, we're definitely going to have to talk more as we get towards that. And we'll catch up throughout this year.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, man. I'll holler at you later.
All right. See you later.
See you, man.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, everybody. We are wrapping this up, and I need to tilt this down so we can get a little more square, and we're done. This is it. Todd was an awesome guest. We've went way too long on this. We talked more than just about his company, Rixey, and I want you to make sure you go check out Rixey Outdoors, because it is honestly a product that I believe in. It's definitely, he won't say it, but it's definitely a product that's changing the dog stand world. The size, the quality, everything, the American made. It's definitely something that's new out there, and it's definitely something that I would recommend everybody check it out. So as always, make sure you check them out, RixeyOutdoors.com. Check us out over on Facebook. Winter Productions is our media page. My Instagram is winter_media. TikTok, check us out there. It's winter_media also. And have a good night.